Hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm just going to get the chat up on my phone because I have just gotten home, so I'm kind of running around to get the stream started on time. Turn everything down, everything down. There we go. Okay, there we go. Hey guys. Let me know if you can hear you. You can hear me? Okay. Hello to Obada and Diamondlock and B-Shirt and Kiona and Arid and the Pudding Dead and Ian Ianerton, I think is how that is, and Jim and Andrea and Roz and Alexandra, and I think that's everyone. Okay, let me just turn on my tablet here, so this is my machine, not yours. As long as it goes on. It should go on. Okay, there we go. Hello everyone. Here I am. Oh wait, let me just do this. There we go. Just put the chat where it's supposed to be. If things sound a little bit different, please forgive me. My life has been a complete comedy of errors the past 2 weeks. So what happened was, I bought myself a new mattress because mine was about 15 years old. It's one of those really good quality mattresses. But even after 15 years, I mean, a mattress can only last so long. So we went to get a new one. And because I'm an adult, I ordered a 3/4 mattress. So we get the 3/4 mattress and it arrives and it's exactly what I want. Turns out my bed frame is for a single. Which means for the past like 10 years or whatever, I've been sleeping on a single mattress like a child. So at the moment, I've got a mattress that's too big for my bed frame. So I am on the floor in my bedroom at the moment. So I've had to completely shuffle around basically my whole room. So I've got like an empty bed frame in front of me. I've got a mattress on the floor. And I've got like wires everywhere. So if things sound a little bit different, it's because things are not in their regular place and we're just going to have to deal with it. So that's something that happened, but it's fine because the thing is I can get like a single mattress, but after I learned I've been literally sleeping on like a child's mattress, which I did not know. I would rather try and figure out how to adjust the bed frame to fit the bigger mattress. But it's Christmas, so all the what do you call them, carpenters, I suppose, all the carpenters are closed until January. So I'm on the floor at the moment. So how are you guys doing? Is there something wrong with having a single mattress? No, it's just it's very small. And I was under the impression I had a 3/4 mattress, so I was feeling very cramped on my mattress, but I figured, oh well, you know, the only bigger size is a double bed, and I don't want a double bed that's too big. I guess this is just the size a 3/4 is, but no, it turns out I've been sleeping on a mattress that's way too small for me. So there's nothing wrong with it, it doesn't work for me. Let me get my Clip Studio Paint up. So let's see, we turn this one off and then we turn, oh yeah, I've got the wrong order here, and then we put that there and then we go transition. There we go. So I hope you guys have been having a good holiday or Christmas or whatever it is you celebrate. I think Eid was over quite a while ago. I'm not sure when Eid is, unfortunately. Doing good. I just learned I have ADHD and ASD. I'm not sure what ASD is, but as far as the ADHD goes, same. So congrats. You can always go temp inflatable mattress until January. I mean, I can, but I mean, I'm just on the new mattress on the floor. So it's fine, like I'm coping okay. It just means for streaming, you know, I've got like the mic stand next to the mattress like angled down so it can face my face, and I've just got wires all over the place. Like I said, it's fine, it's just in case something sounds wacky, that's what's going on. Try drawing Geno in a toy soldier or nutcracker outfit since it's Christmas season. Maybe. Yeah, you guys we have to decide what we're drawing for this live stream. That's the other thing, right? I just came home because if you're unaware, I live in South Africa, so it's summer at the moment. And I also live in a seaside town. So what that means is for about 2 to 3 weeks over the Christmas period, our town, which usually has like a population of about 14,000 people, we get about like 20,000 tourists into the area. So to go anywhere out of your house is kind of a nightmare. So we went out shopping to get food and stuff for the weekend. So I just got home, so that's what I was doing all the time. As a Muslim, Eid is on the lunar year, so it literally depends on the moon, but usually it's late summer. Oh, okay, I understand. See, because I know it's I don't know about all the time, but I think it's a little bit before Christmas. And by before, I think it's like a month before Christmas, but I'm not 100% sure. Especially because I know, because it's based on the lunar year, so it's not always the same time. Love to see Jack Frost in your cell. Which one? Do you mean the DreamWorks one? I was watching Red Letter Media, so when you said Jack Frost, like I immediately thought of like the horror movie Jack Frost, and I'm like, I'm sure that's not what you meant. Let's see what else. Christmas Eve is on the 24th, and in 2 days, yes, same. It is, I think it's, yes, it must be the 22nd, because my dad's birthday is tomorrow, so I haven't phoned him yet, so it's the 22nd today. Okay, so the other thing that happened today, and why I'm like a little higher energy than usual. So we went out to get some Christmas shopping done, you know, get some food and stuff, mainly fresh food, because we didn't want to buy it earlier because obviously it would go off. So it's summer, it's hot, it's not like super hot, but I mean it's hot enough. So we go to the car and I reach for the passenger side door handle, and you know, it's a car door handle. So I reach my hand under the handle and something moves, and I jump back like 2 feet, like yelping because I just touched something and it moved. So then a huntsman spider about the size of my palm crawls out from under the car door handle because it had been trying to look for shelter from the sun, and of course it chose the car door handle. So that was fun for me. that was an experience that I need to recover from. It was okay. It didn't get hurt. Luckily, I didn't like accidentally squash any of its legs or anything. And we kind of just shooed it off the car with a branch, and it scurried away. But still, not exactly a great way to start the day. Is just a giant ass spider. They don't bite though, so it's not like it was dangerous, but still not entirely enjoyable to grab a giant huntsman as I'm going off to buy salad ingredients. And then the other thing that happened, and this was more funny than anything like tragic. We just went to the thrift store because it's open a little bit later, and we always miss it because it closes at 2 in the afternoon usually. So we're at the thrift store, and I find they've got a lot of Agatha Christie novels. Now, I really like Agatha Christie. I especially like the Miss Marple series. And I really struggled to find the Agatha Christie novels. And here they have a bunch of them for 25 Rand each. Now, in American, that is $1.30 for a novel, like a full novel. And they're quite new. They're new printings. So I take about 8 that I think I'm definitely going to buy, and there's like a whole bunch of them left over. So I go to my mom who's with me, and I'm like, they have a whole bunch of Agatha Christie's here. I'm not sure how many of them I should get because I struggle to find them. And my mom says to me, oh, just get all of them. You've worked hard this year and you're going to regret it if you don't get all of them. So I say, okay, you're probably right. So then I buy all the Agatha Christie novels that they have. And my mom, when she said get all of them, she meant the 8 or 10 books I had in my hands. And I thought she meant all the Agatha Christie novels they had. So I bought 47 Agatha Christie novels. So that's what I've got now. I've got 47 books on my mattress, but like I said, they were like $1.30 each. So that's another thing that happened. Anyway, 47. Yes. I think it's 47. I have to count. It might be 46. It might be 48, but it's over 40. That's a lot of books. But yes, luckily I won't have to look for Agatha Christie novels for a while. The shocking thing is, I haven't read any of the ones that I bought. Like, I've read quite a few, and none of the ones I've read are here. So that's good. I didn't buy any doubles. I didn't buy any that I've read before, nothing like that. Anyway, so that's why if I seem flustered, if I seem a little bit of more of a mess than usual, that's why, because that's been my day. To get started, though, we have to decide who we're going to draw. Somebody suggested Geno. They suggested as a nutcracker, but as I've said before, I try not to design outfits and stuff on stream, just because when I design something, first of all, design doesn't come easily to me. It's not like one of my big skills. So if I want to design something for a character, at least 2 hours would be me scrolling through Pinterest looking for inspiration. And that's not going to really make for a very exciting stream. So that's why I usually prefer to draw characters just as they are. Just because, again, design doesn't come naturally to me, and I spend a lot of time gathering resources and such when I do try and put characters in different outfits and such. Jim from Super Mario... Jim, do you mean Jim or Geno? Yes, Geno. Let's see. What do you guys think? A booster? I'm seeing a lot of Geno. Like, you guys are really into Geno today. Let me see if I can grab some reference material. Mario RPG Geno. It kind of fits as well for the Christmas theme in a strange way, because Geno is a star, so I mean that's kind of Christmassy, right? Grab some images. Oh, hey Lorenzo. Yeah, what's good? Oh, just a lot is happening today for like no good reason. I went out shopping. I got accosted by a giant spider while I was trying to get into my car. I bought 47 books by accident. What else? I think that about covers it. Is got attacked by a spider, bought 47 novels, and had to do Christmas shopping amongst the tourists. So I think that should catch you up onto what's going on. Oh, and right, and I bought a mattress that's too big for my bed, so I'm sitting on the floor at the moment. So that's been today. This one's pretty good. If I get this picture. Oh, come on, internet. Thank you. Way to victim blame the spider. Hey, I sympathize with the need to get out of the sun. I do sympathize with the spider. I just don't want to have to be the one who grabbed him, like physically with my hand. That's the part I'm not a fan of. Let's paste this here. There we go. Victim blame the spider. A hell of a day. Speaking of which, I saw that, I mean, I knew somebody told me about that, but apparently not Hell of a Boss, Hazbin Hotel has officially announced that they've been picked up for a full series with Amazon, I think it is, Amazon Prime. So that might be a series I might look into, especially now that it's not like an indie animation project, now that it's going to be a professional project. That might be something I look at in the future for the channel, because I think it kind of fits in with the channel's theme, I think. Just in terms of the kind of audience that would watch that show, as well as the kind of content that my channel seems to be growing towards, you know? Like, I'll do other animated things. I'm not going to do, like, the same style of animated things all the time, but I think Hell of a Boss, I think there's a lot of crossover with a lot of the other shows that I've done, just, like, in terms of style and intended audience. I've actually never noticed, does he have... Oh, he's just got, like, a little, like, square triangle nose. He doesn't have like a Pinocchio nose or anything. Okay. I've been drawing recently. I tried to draw similarly to Kazuma Kaneko from the Persona artist. Oh, I see. Yeah, he also did what was that medical game? The one like Trauma Center, I think it was. The game that I am not equipped to play, but just because it's really difficult. And Geno, he doesn't really have a neck. He's like a wooden ball on a round body like that. And then he's kind of got a chest piece like that, and then he's got the ball underneath it for his stomach like that. And then because he has a cloak and he has he has the hat, and he's got that very high collar, it kind of hides the fact that he doesn't have much of a neck. I hope it's still got the guy who does Angel's voice from the pilot, the guy who's in like every YouTube pilot. I don't know his name, but I know who you mean, because I think like Angel Dust, that's kind of, in my opinion at least, I would think Angel Dust is the best character from Has-Been Hotel, in my opinion. I know like a lot of people are into the, what is he called, like the Radio Demon. And like I get it, but from a pure design standpoint, I think that Angel Dust is probably the strongest character in terms of design in that show. And I'm not a big fan of the designs in Has-Been Hotel just because I find them very busy. So even with Angel Dust, there are certain things which I would have done to kind of streamline the design a bit if it were me. But we'll see what it looks like once it becomes a professional project. Because again, I'm not going to sit here and criticize an independent animation project, because an independent animation project is a labor of love in many, many ways. So I don't think it is particularly helpful, or it's not very encouraging to sit here and criticize an independent animation project as if it is something that was made by a large studio with like supervision and direction by producers and things like that. So I try not to criticize too much in like a YouTube video or such, because I don't think it's helpful. But we'll see what changes, if any, it goes through once it becomes a professional product, and what changes are made, because I wonder how many changes will be made. I imagine things like voice actors maybe, but I'm curious whether there will be any mandates to change some of the character designs or not. Or if they'll just be like, no, obviously what you've got going is what's popular, so we're just going to keep things as is. So I'm curious to see what happens. But you wouldn't want to criticize it out of a love so it can get better. Yes and no, because I feel that if somebody is making something purely out of love for YouTube, right, and this is specifically with animation, this isn't like a review or a short film or anything, because animation takes so much effort and so much time and so much money to make, I don't think it's particularly helpful for a YouTube project to sit here and criticize it as I would something made by a professional studio, because the amount of hurdles and difficulties you have to go through just to get something animated off the ground, even when you do have studio backing, is so enormous. And sitting here and criticizing it in a very, very hypercritical way, all it can really do is demotivate the people trying to get something made, unless it's like actively terrible. Like what was that thing that Vinny watched a while ago, that Family Gal thing? I mean, something like that's a different discussion, right? That's a completely different discussion. But I actually saw a screenshot somebody said, and they were talking more about fan fiction in terms of criticism, but I think it also applies to independent animation just made, I guess not for free, because a lot of these do have Kickstarters, but essentially made not as a product to put on a streaming service. Come on. Oh, my computer is so slow today. I don't know if it's feeling the heat or the humidity. Family Guy. Yeah. Sorry to bring that memory back for everyone. If you guys have not seen what Family Gal is, after the stream is over, look up Family Gal, because Vinny reacted to the whole thing. It is absolutely painful. It's like one of the worst things ever. For like no reason. I don't understand why it is that bad. And because there's things like, there's things that people would say, oh, well, you know, it was made by an Indian studio that was trying to mimic American culture. The thing is, India has a very, very, very good animation industry. India has a very, very good, I guess industry is the word for it. They've got really good studios. They've got a lot of very good VFX departments. A lot of movies outsourced to India. So you can't even say, oh, you know, it was made by those silly Indians or anything like that. It's like, no. India has a very, very good animation department. So I don't know what went wrong here. Criticism. I think that's what it was called. Hey, Hobbs. You don't have to do a hate review, for lack of a better word, but I don't know. I feel voicing some criticism wouldn't necessarily hurt. Like I said, when I do Hazbin Hotel as the professional project from Amazon Prime, I will probably look back at the original pilot and say what shortcomings I felt were in the pilot, which might have been better to improve if they don't improve it, things like that. Because I am rather critical of the Hazbin Hotel pilot or indie film or whatever it is. There are things with it that I'm not the biggest fan of. Like I said, the character designs is a big sticking point for me, where it's too busy. And one of my biggest complaints is the fact that the background characters have the exact same amount of detail in their character designs that the main characters have. And why that's a problem is because when a main character is on screen and it's a crowd shot, it can become very difficult for your eye to really pinpoint which character you're supposed to be paying attention to, because everyone they're all just too detailed. Everybody is just too detailed in a crowd shot, and it just becomes kind of a visual noise, and your eye gets confused. You, as a intellectual person watching it, would be able to recognize this is the main character, but in terms of your brain being able to differentiate it visually, it becomes very difficult. And I find that a lot of the designs just on their own are very busy. Like I said, I think Angel Dust has probably the best character design out of all of them. But even Angel Dust, there's some character details where I would be like, okay, well, cut that, remove that, streamline that, and you'd have a much stronger character design. It would be things like that I would criticize. And I think I said this once before. The other thing is, I don't think the actual target audience and who Vivzy Pop thinks the target audience is are the same people. Because to me, the target audience for Hazbin Hotel are like 14-year-old, back in the day would be like mall goth kids. Like, that is very, very clearly the target audience for Husband Hotel. And I don't think that's who Vivzy thinks is the target audience. I think she thinks the target audience is a much older demographic. And it's like, no, the target audience of 14-year-olds. I'm sorry, but that is just the way the show is written makes that a sad fact. I want to believe India has better than Kiara the Brave. Who are we drawing today? We are drawing Geno, because I saw a lot of people asking for Geno, and I'm a little bit flustered today because of a few misadventures. So my focus is just kind of all over the place. So I just went with, oh, you guys want to draw Geno? Okay, let's do Geno. To just kind of prevent myself from sputtering around for way too long. Make this arm smaller, do that. I might have to move the arms once I add the cape, but we'll see. Do that. I'm gonna make this longer because, again, I think if I add the cape, it's going to make the arm seem shorter than it actually is. Let's add the cape in another layer. Oopsie. And I just, oh, here we go. I was gonna say I got rid of chat, but I got you guys back. I think there are social and business aspects that are pretty much always worth criticizing, like what happened with all the voice actors. I think so. I do think, because that's the thing, I'm not saying it's above criticism or like you should never criticize an indie project or anything like that. I just think in terms of a formal video, because that's what I kind of saw with the Leo review, which was it's not even really a review. The video I made about Leo ended up being very contentious, which was quite surprising to me. But I think why is I didn't think that a lot of people would take my word about that movie as seriously as they did. Because in my mind, I'm like, this is such a terrible movie. It's really bad. It doesn't really deserve that much thought. You know, it doesn't deserve that much thought. It doesn't deserve that much attention. It doesn't deserve that much analysis. So I'm just going to basically do a quick view of the entire thing and explain, look, this movie's very bad. This is why it's bad. I don't understand why it's getting so much praise. And that was kind of the end of it. That is as far as my thinking went. But apparently a lot of people really wanted to discuss the deeper meanings behind some of the moral lessons it tried to teach, specifically about the ADHD thing, which quite a few people disagreed with me about that. And I can understand why. I think it really boiled down to personal experience. Because I saw somebody say in the comment section that because they have Asperger's, and I know Asperger's isn't entirely the correct term to use anymore, so I do apologize, but it narrows it down from the broader autism spectrum into the very specific category that we would refer to as Asperger's. So apologies, I know it's the wrong term to use. I'm just not entirely sure how to narrow the scope, and that is the word that this person in particular used themselves in their comment. Anyway, because they said that because they are Asperger's, having direct direction of this is how you improve the thing that's going wrong with the social interaction. So for them, being told talk a little less and ask questions was extremely helpful advice, because if you are struggling with social interactions where you really have difficulty to instinctivily know how to have a one-to-one conversation, having a direct instruction of just bring down the talking a little bit and ask questions of the person you're speaking to is very, very helpful. So that is one thing. But my thing was, I did not really I don't want to say prefer. What's the word I'm looking for? The way the movie presented it, its advice to me and the way I saw it as was repress your most obvious symptom to make yourself more digestible by the other person. And that is not good advice. So that was quite contentious amongst many people in the comments. And I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with people because, again, that was a 100% projection on my part. But me and my friend who were watching it, right, because both of us have ADHD. So when we were watching that part and the little girl was being told not to talk so much, ask questions, be quieter and things like that, me and my friend were just joking about how Leo was giving this little girl advice on how to mask and how it's really bad because that's going to lead to very big problems later on in life. But my point is, I was making that video as kind of just a joke, you know, kind of lighthearted. This movie's bad, this is why it's bad. It's got some questionable morals, etc., etc. But a lot of people actually put weight into what I had to say. And they really took my criticism quite seriously. They took it as like very serious condemnations of the movie. And that was quite eye-opening for me because I am not really used to people putting a lot of weight on what I have to say, right? I'm used to people hearing me out, hearing my opinion, and then they either disagree, they agree, or they disagree with it, and they don't really think of it that deeply. But in this case, it seemed people really had a problem with me disliking this, and they had like very long essay reasons as to why I was wrong. And I was just like, I didn't think this movie was worth that much analysis. So that taught me that I can't just really be like, oh, this is bad, haha, and leave it at such a shallow level. So if I were to kind of criticize something like Hazbin Hotel, I would have to really, really dig into it, not to criticize it, but just to kind of, like I do with, like I'm doing with the Superman cartoon, and like I did with High Guardian Spies and Velma, I would have to really get down to the nitty-gritty and really dissect the characters and the way it's written and the way it's paced, like all the nitty-gritty things that make it an animated show, because I can't just gloss over it. But at the same time, to go that in-depth into an independent project can be quite demoralizing to somebody just trying to make something. So that was a very long-winded way of saying it, but I hopefully hope you guys understand what I mean. So yes, it is, you can always criticize something, but in terms of me making a video, the Leo video showed me that I can't just kind of assume that people will take my word for it's not that deep, don't worry about it so much, and I don't want to tear into something to such a pedantic degree when it's an independent project, because I feel that that can be more demoralizing to the person making the thing than anything else. And it's like, well, how does that help anyone? Like, why? It's not productive, right? It doesn't serve any purpose other than to tear the creator down. And that's not fun, and that's not something I want to do. So I'll be happy to discuss it when it becomes a professional product with Amazon, and I'll go back and I'll say what I disliked about the original pilot. It's not like I'm going to treat it like it's a holy cow that I can't touch, but I just don't think it's entirely fair to sit here and judge an indie product by the same quality I would something made by a large professional studio. Is it the Adam Sandler movie thing? Yeah, it's the animated talking lizard Adam Sandler movie that's on Netflix. The other thing that was interesting is a lot of people really got upset with me breaking down, not even really breaking down, but just saying why I disliked Leo so much. And they would give forth their argument as to why I'm wrong, is that they enjoyed it. Which was interesting to me because in my mind, I liked this and this is good are two separate conversations. Because, I mean, there are certain things that I absolutely adore, and it's not because they're well-made or good quality, like, at all. Are you a fan of any of the other Sandler movies? A little bit. None of them I think are great, but even though I think the reality of the movie is horrific, I actually quite like 51st Dates in a kind of fantasy movie aspect, right? The reality of that movie is horrifying, but I feel that the way that the movie presents its story, it's like one of those movies where you really have to suspend your disbelief. But I quite like that movie, and I think it's like trying to be sincere. That's one of the few Adam Sandler movies where I feel it is trying to be sincere. And I think Click isn't too bad. Click has a lot more of like the gross Adam Sandler jokes in it, which is really annoying. But I do think that Click, much more than some of his other movies, was generally trying to be emotionally sincere as well. So even though Click isn't really my favorite movie, I tend to give that one a little bit of slack as well. Since it's festive times, how about that one Adam Sandler animated Christmas... Oh, you mean 8 Crazy Nights? 8 Crazy Nights is so painful, but like for different reasons than you may think. Because 8 Crazy Nights is a bad movie. It's genuinely a bad movie, and if it was just a live-action Adam Sandler movie, it would just be a bad movie. But what makes 8 Crazy Nights so painful is the fact that the animation in it is so good. It has such high quality, like really high level quality animation in it. And the fact that that good quality animation is being wasted on the writing in that movie, that is painful to see. I feel so bad for the animators who worked on that. They have like this Iron Giant level of quality, and it's for things like Adam Sandler's old man character getting frozen in a porta potty covered in like crap, and then a bunch of deer come and like lick all the frozen crap off of the old man. And it's like, this is what the animation is being wasted on, and it's painful. It's like, this movie looks too good to be this. And then also the fact like all the product placements come and save the day at the end. That is almost so shameful, it's almost funny. The product placement saving the day at the end is so shameful, I almost respect it. And for some reason that to this day I don't understand why. When I watched 8 Crazy Nights for the first time, I rented it on DVD. I made the insane decision to, sorry, I'm hiccuping, to listen to the director's commentary for the movie. Now, the director's commentary on the 8 Crazy Nights DVD is Rob Schneider and Adam Sandler. But it's not Adam Sandler giving the director's commentary as Adam Sandler. It's Adam Sandler giving the director's commentary pretending to be the old man. And if you watch the Leo review, that the old man in 8 Crazy Nights is voiced by Adam Sandler, and he does this high-pitched falsetto fake old man voice. It is one of the most annoying voices you can possibly imagine, and that's the entire director's commentary. Adam Sandler doesn't break character once. It's just that for like 80 minutes. And I watched it for some reason. I wasn't forced. This wasn't like a school project or anything. It's just something I decided to do for some reason I still don't understand. Hey Shire. Oh hey Profiter Puns. For how many streams has the chat been on the corner of the screen above the brushes? Just this one, because I was very flustered getting here, and I very quickly had to set up Streamlabs, and I didn't have a lot of time because I had like 3 minutes before I was scheduled to go live. So it was very much a setup of, okay, good enough, let's just go live so I'm not late. So the chat is there for this stream, but it's not usually. I think that nose is a bit small. Also, why on earth did I decide to draw his head from this angle? Why did I do this to myself? Now I have to live with the consequences of my actions. And that's no fun. Open this picture. Open image in new tab. Let's see what it looks like so I can just get this done properly. Okay, yeah, okay, so it's not that bad. It is too small though. I'm gonna have to make it bigger. You watch, yeah, the whole thing. I watched 8 Crazy Nights, and then I watched the whole director's commentary. And like I said, nobody forced me. It wasn't for a school project or anything. I just decided to do that, and I don't know why. I guess because I rented it, I was like, I better get my money's worth because I rented this thing. The chat looks terrible there. I mean, I can take it down. Let's see. Now that I'm actually live, I'm less pressed to be, you know, to be present. There we go. Take the chat away. I think the alert box. Where's the alert box? Okay, the alert box. Let me just make it smaller while I'm here. Because it's also kind of in the middle of the screen there. We'll put it over there. Okay. There we go. Somebody asked me what I thought about Klaus. I watched Klaus quite a while ago when it first aired. I need to watch it again. I remember liking it when it came out. It looks gorgeous. I'm just not a... I appreciate the amount of technology it took to make Klaus look the way it does. But at the same time, I don't understand why they just didn't let the 2D animated movie look like a 2D animated movie. I'm not entirely sure why they try to make a 2D animated movie look almost CG. Like, I don't fully understand what the thinking was there. I think it's incredible. It looks amazing. I just don't really understand the point. But it's fine. Like, Klaus is a good movie. Have I heard much about Chip Chills? I have not. Am I a closet masochist? After today, that's a tough question to answer. After today, maybe. After this month, there's a good chance, maybe. In between the mattress that's too big and the spider adventure and buying 47 novels, you know, the jury is still out on that one. The possibility is not zero. It's all clean out? Yeah, I removed the chat. I watched Over the Hedges director's commentary with Ben Folds. Made me fall in love with DreamWorks. I have not watched the director's commentary for that. It wasn't really a director's commentary, but one of my favorite, like, commentaries, and it's actually on YouTube. It's not like with the movie playing, so you just kind of, I don't know if you can sync it up to the movie, but it's one of those things where you don't really need to have the movie playing. But one of my favorite commentaries that I've found on YouTube is the commentary track for The Shining. Because the commentary track for The Shining is done by a novelist who wrote a biography on Kubrick. And the cinematographer slash camera operator. Now, the camera operator for The Shining invented the Steadicam. And that's why there are so many, like, POV shots in The Shining, is because that was one of the first times that they used the Steadicam in that way. And because they had this new tool, they utilized it so much. So, listening to the commentary track for The Shining is fascinating. And it made me absolutely not be able to give these, like, conspiracy theories about The Shining any kind of credence or attention, because a lot of people have all these conspiracy theories about what The Shining means and, like, all these hidden messages in it and things that Kubrick was secretly trying to tell us. And then you listen to the commentary on the movie and you find out that so much of the movie was kind of a disaster behind the scenes just to get off the ground. And it's like, guys, they barely got this movie made, and you think they purposefully tried to hide, like, these Zodiac killer level code into the film. They barely had the movie going. But it's genuinely a very, very good commentary. I highly recommend it. And like I said, it's on YouTube. You can find it quite easily. Conspiracy theories about The Shining? Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's things like how Stephen Kubrick... It is Stephen, right? I'm second guessing myself because I'm thinking of Stephen King. But... No, Stanley Kubrick, sorry. How Kubrick hid a lot of messages in The Shining that's like him admitting to the fact that he helped fake the moon landing. That's quite a big one. The other one is that there's a lot of references to the plight of the Native American and like the massacre of the Native American that's in there. There's like other conspiracy theories that make even less sense. Like those are the two big ones though, especially the moon landing one. Let me just quickly pay attention to this eye because I want to get this right. But I think it's like that. Yes. Conspiracy theory media are super entertaining. The Alex Jones game and the art they made is quite amusing, almost humorous even. I just get frustrated with conspiracy theories because it's like fake intellectualism, and that really annoys me for some reason. It's like people pretending to behave and think how they think intelligent people think and behave. And I think it's very fake, and I think that's why it bothers me, because in general, fakeness just drives me insane. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where that is a big annoyance to me. And also, conspiracy theories in general really annoy me because so many of them rely on there being a level of competence. And it's like, guys, and it's often the government. It's like, guys, do you really think the government is competent enough to pull off a conspiracy theory like this? But yeah, very good director's commentary. Highly recommend that. Let's make this smaller because I made it too big. Kubrick directed the moon landing. Well, who directed the other 5? Yeah, Kubrick directed the moon landing is a big one. And it's mainly because of 2001. Now, 2001 came out in, I think it was 1967 if I remember correctly. And then, of course, there was the American moon landing in 1969. So a lot of people were like, oh, well, the shots in 2001 A Space Odyssey look so realistic. It's very obvious that Kubrick helped fake the moon landing for the Americans. And it's like, no. No, that's not how that worked at all. And it frustrates me because I really like history, right? I'm a big history fanatic. And the reasons why, because people were like, oh, well, if the moon landing wasn't faked, then how come the Americans got there first when Russia was ahead of America in every other aspect? And if you actually look at history, there's a very, very good reason as to why. Budget. What happened was Russia got all this budget for their space program for a very, very long time. And by the time the race for the moon happened, the cosmonaut program had their budget slashed because the USSR felt like, okay, well, that's good enough. We've kind of proven our point. We're just going to minimize your budget, and we're not going to give you the resources you need to make a moon landing in time. We'll give you enough to make a moon landing, just not in the amount of time you're asking for. And America, because the cosmonauts had bested them in every other way, America increased the NASA's funding by a lot so that they could reach the moon first. Like, that's literally the only reason that happened. It's all due to budgeting. Did you see Napoleon? Sadly, it was not very good. I've not seen Napoleon, the Ridley Scott one, but I have an interesting reason as to why. And it's because I have not seen the 1970s Napoleon movie, which history buffs actually did a video on that film. It is shockingly accurate. It is, like, immensely accurate to what happened in Napoleon's real life. And also the battle scenes, that movie was a joint project with the USSR, and in order for the USSR's military to get some training, specifically in Napoleonic warfare, they made it like part of military service to be an extra in the movie Napoleon, so that they could recreate those Napoleon battle scenes. So the battle scenes in the 1970s Napoleon, there's like 15,000 extras in the battle scenes, and they're all real people.
So I haven't seen it yet, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch the Ridley Scott one if I haven't seen, like, the good one first.
It sucks that it's not accurate, though, because I actually really like Ridley Scott as a director. I really enjoy his movies.
My favorite piece of historical media is Stalingrad. I have not seen that one.
Waterloo, that's the movie's name. Thank you. I thought it was Napoleon. You're right, it's Waterloo. It's actually, again, it's up on YouTube, but I don't know if it's up there legally. It's just been up there for years, and for whatever reason, nobody has taken it down. So I need to watch it. I just haven't because it's 3 hours long, and that's the only reason I haven't got around to it. You know, I can watch H. Bomber Guy talk about plagiarism for 4 hours, but watching a movie for 3 hours, apparently that is beyond my limits. I don't know how that works. Have I seen The Death of Stalin? I have not. I'm worried that that movie might make me very anxious. Just because of the history behind it. There are certain things in history, especially with certain subject matters, that make me very anxious for whatever reason, and I don't even know if I can properly explain why it makes me anxious.
You won't even feel the 3 hours?
Let me actually check. Sorry, I know I'm drawing quite slow, but like I said, today has been a day, so this is just the energy level we have to deal with. Me and my 47 novels here are just gonna have to deal with the energy being what it is today. Let me just check if Waterloo is still on YouTube. I would link it, but because it's up on YouTube, just randomly, I don't want to risk my channel by linking to what is essentially an unofficial distribution of the film. You know, if the movie was put out by Moss Films actually has an official YouTube channel, and they just put out movies for free, and it's fantastic. But I don't think Waterloo is uploaded by Moss Film. Because if it was uploaded by Moss Film, I could just link it. Because Moss Film has they've uploaded Solaris, they've uploaded Stalker, they've uploaded Dersu Uzala, which is like one of my new favorite films ever. And it's just on their channel for free. It's insane. And they have like the entire 4-part movie of Anna Karenina. They have both parts of Ivan the Terrible. It's just on YouTube. Yeah, so Waterloo is still on YouTube. If you just do a search for it after the stream, please. It's on there. So that is something you can watch instead of Ridley Scott's Waterloo. Like I said, it really sucks that it ended up being so historically inaccurate. I was watching the Movie Buff's video on Robin Hood, and that was also kind of upsetting. I think Ridley Scott should stick to doing fictional stories, because when he does fiction, he's phenomenal. Like, not even thinking Blade Runner, I'm thinking like The Martian. I absolutely love The Martian. And that's a gorgeous movie, and just the directing of that movie is fantastic. And then he goes and he does something historical like Robin Hood or Napoleon, and it's an absolute disaster. Godzilla's one's post-war Japan made me quite anxious. Grave of the Fireflies PSD. Yeah, I think I would be okay watching the original Godzilla, because for some reason that is a period of history, specifically Japanese history, that doesn't spike my anxiety that much, and I don't know why. I have the complete set of Showa by my man Shigeru Mizuki, which is very, very, very good. I've got A Waking Life by, I forget the author's name, and it's by mangaka written. Their autobiography is written by mangaka who actually lived through World War One, and like their experience growing up in Japan post World War Two. Sorry, I meant World War Two. So I'm fine with that topic, but I haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies, and I probably won't. I think that's just a movie I don't need to see. And I also haven't seen Barefoot Gen. I might read Barefoot Gen at some stage, but that's another one where I don't think I'll ever watch
Barefoot Gen, because
there's some films or stories about that period of history where it hits in a different way, where I just know that I won't be able to handle that. Like I said, the Showa manga is fantastic. Awakening Life is fantastic. Even Osamu Tezuka's Adolf, Message to Adolf mangas are very, very good, although I have to get back. I've only read half of it.
They're very good, but there's some of them that are just really, really difficult to get through.
And I mean, I read Mouse. Mouse is really difficult to read. I have read it, but I read it when I was 17. I don't know if I could read Mouse again now that I'm a little older.
I think it would mess me up a lot more now than it did when I was younger.
Message to Adolf. It is a 2-part manga series that Osamu Tezuka made
about the Second World War. They're very good. They're upsetting, but they're very good. Barefoot Gen was an experience, especially the part. Yeah, no, I don't think I'll watch Barefoot Gen. I might read it, but I'll have to think about it. I would have to like really steel myself and be in the right mind space before I decide to watch Barefoot Gen, or even read Barefoot Gen.
But I think Godzilla I'd be okay with, like the original Godzilla.
I have watched Godzilla 1985.
That I actually really liked.
I thought that one was very good. And I don't think that's one of the Godzillas that gets as much attention as the others, which is a shame,
because I think it's a genuinely good movie.
What did he say to Adolf?
No, Message to Adolf. Obviously, I'm just going to be careful with my words because YouTube tends to be quite liberal with what they demonetize. Message to Adolf. Obviously, the big Adolf is one of the characters in the manga, but then another Adolf is a German boy whose father is a diplomat. So it's a German boy who grew up in Japan, and then his family had to relocate during the war. So that's the other Adolf. And then the third Adolf is a Jewish boy who grew up in Germany, whose name is also Adolf. So it's actually 3 characters all with the same first name. That's why it's called Message to Adolf. So it's kind of the war from like 3 different perspectives.
The H name? Yeah, YouTube doesn't like it when you say the name. Hey, Rockstock. I've still never seen any Godzilla besides the Roland Emmerich one.
Godzilla is great, depending on what you want from it, and depending on which one you watch. Because I like Godzilla
in general, but I also really love
terrible media. So you've got like the first Godzilla, which is horrific. It's genuinely an upsetting movie, even with the effects being what they are and such. It's a very, very upsetting movie to watch because it's all about the psychological effects of the H-bomb on the Japanese public. That's what the first Godzilla is about. The first Godzilla is all about the horrors of nuclear power, and it's really upsetting to watch. And then like for a good chunk of the 60s and 70s, the Godzilla movies are terrible. Like, they're camp, they're meant for children, they've got Godzilla like throwing up peace signs and doing victory dances, and it's really stupid, and I love it. It's so dumb, it looks awful, it's fantastic, it's really great. And then you've got Godzilla 1985, which is like, Godzilla is in the movie, but the majority of the movie is like a political debate on whether or not America or Russia should be allowed to bomb Godzilla. So it's this big debate between Russia and America asking Japan, can we please allow us to use our bombs on Godzilla to get rid of it? And Japan being like, you two just want to use the bomb so that you can use Japan as a testing site for your weapons. So the entire movie is this big political debate. Meanwhile, Godzilla's destroying buildings in the background somewhere. Who are you drawing? Just got here. I'm drawing Geno. Or at least attempting to. I've never drawn him before, so we'll see how it goes.
And I'm a bit more flustered than usual today, so, oops. So we are all over the place, more than usual. Because I'm very often all over the place. It's funny how you treat H like the bad guy from Harry Potter on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. But like I said, YouTube tends to be very trigger happy with live streams specifically. And I think it's because when you upload a video, you can set your monetization. You can say, okay, these are the topics I cover in my video. And YouTube will be like, okay, that's still okay for advertising. But in a live stream, you can't declare ahead of time what you will be discussing. So the YouTube bots tend to monitor live streams a little bit more closely because of that. And I mean, I've had live streams demonetized, but then I just ask for a review and then they get remonetized. So it hasn't really caught me that much, but I still have to go in and ask YouTube to remonetize things. So I just try and avoid it if I can help it. And yeah, the Voldemort from Harry Potter. How many joints does Geno's fingers have? Okay, so he is similar to Sans Undertale. Kind of similar to that. Got it. You now have to push this one a bit back. But yes, watch Waterloo on YouTube, or if you don't want to watch Waterloo the entire 3 hours, at least watch the History Buff's video on Waterloo, because it's really good. Kick me in the... What? Oh, dear YouTube boss. CBuff kicked me in the mouth. Please ban. Okay, let me turn this actually, because there we go, it should be easier for me. Can't go saying his name, just like Lord Moldy Butt. Yeah, like Red Letter Media says, Mike at some stage said that he imagines the YouTube bots to be like those squid things that chase the what's it called, Nebuchadnezzar in the Matrix. And ever since Mike said that's what he thinks of, that's what I think of now too. Let's see now, if the hand goes like this, then that's the palm, and that's the top, and that's like that. Hopefully I get this right. The Sentinels, yes. Do you mind if I ask you any questions regarding animation? I have a project at school where you can do whatever, so I'm doing animation. Don't go for something longer than 20 or 30 seconds, because otherwise it's going to be too much work for you, especially as a one-man person. That would be my top advice for you. So I'm just quiet while I focus on this hand to make sure I'm getting it right. Does he have 4 or 5 fingers? Because I know Mario has 5. Geno only has 4 fingers, okay. I made this thumb way too big, I'm gonna have to scale that down. Do you have any tips on finding references? I'm guessing there's a icon in the way. References for animation. I mean, real life is your best reference, but I think you can use almost anything. The best reference would be real life, even if it's like video of real life. Don't reference other animation for your animation. You can to like try and problem solve certain things, but it's best to try and look at how things look in real life before you try and copy somebody else's like method of animating something specific. It's similar to how they say if you want to learn anatomy,
draw from a real life model rather than trying to draw from somebody else's anatomy.
Geno having 4 fingers usually bothers the Japanese because of sensitive for butchers or Yakuza references. I guess so. I mean, maybe it's because he's a doll. That's why they don't worry too much about it. Also, I just realized I put the thumb on the wrong side of the hand. Fantastic. Okay, hold on. Let's fix this. That's why it looks so weird to me. And I'm supposed to be good at hands. Like, I pride myself on being pretty good at hands. This is what happens. I guess it's because I'm talking at the same time, right? So I'm only working with half a brain here. Here we go. Yeah, that's better. That looks better. Look up rotoscoping. No, rotoscoping is kind of something entirely different. Rotoscoping is almost its own, I guess classification is the word. It's technically animation to a certain degree, but I always think of rotoscoping as being kind of its own thing. Yeah, I know that in Japan, the number 4, it's yon, but the actual word for 4 in Japanese is shi, and shi is the same word for death. So they tend to think of 4 as an unlucky number. But no, that's not why the 4 finger thing is troubling for them. It's because in the Yakuza, if you dishonor the family, they chop off your pinky finger, and the reason they do that is because it affects the way that you hold a gun. You can't properly grip a pistol and aim it correctly if your pinky finger has been removed. And because it's so heavily associated with the Yakuza, that's why, like, the 4-fingered cartoon character is a little troubling in Japanese culture. It's similar to how they have a thing about, like, beheading. I don't know if they still do, but that was a big thing for them for many years because of a murderer that was, of a murder that happened in their country. I don't know if that's still a point of, still a concern for them, though. Let me just shift quickly because my legs are hurting. Ugh. Some more knowledge to add to this country I cannot hope to afford to go to. Same. This arm looks wacky, but I'm going to be giving him the collar, so hopefully it looks better then, because at the moment it's a little off. Like, it's still here. It's just because he doesn't have a neck. It's so weird. When a character doesn't have a neck, it just throws off my proportions completely. In some states in America, firing squad is still a thing. I didn't know that. Thanks for giving me good things to listen to while I play Stellaris. No worries. Do that. Put it red as well. Now, let me just look at his cloak. Okay, he has string at the front. Okay, I see. He's got like the collar, and then he's got a little thing here at the collar at the front, where it's like a rope like that. So you've got the collar here, and you've got the collar here, and then you've got like the rope here, like that. Yeah, speaking about Leo, I made that community post just kind of explaining my thought process behind why I felt that the advice given to the girl that I completely projected onto regarding ADHD. But the big reason I put it in a community post is I figured I would kind of explain it more in depth on live, because I knew I was going to go live on Friday. But then I realized not a lot of people watch the lives, or at least not as many as who watch the video. So it would probably be more visible to more people if I put it in a community post. So that's also why I decided to put it up like this big essay in the community post rather than just say it on a live stream, because I just figured that it was like the best way to get it out to people, because it wasn't really me trying to like change anybody's mind, because people are free to disagree with me. Like really, I don't have a thing about, no, you must agree with my opinion. No, it's just that because I was rather flippant in the video and I didn't go into a lot of detail, I was worried that I might be spreading a level of misinformation, and I was stressed about the fact that I didn't communicate my point very clearly. And that's the kind of thing where it just kind of makes me anxious in general. So I was like, well, I'll just put it in a community post. Even if it doesn't achieve anything, it'll just make me feel better, you know? So that's also why I decided to make like this big novel in the community post. That was the thought process behind it. But as somebody in the comments said, the fact that we have like this big thing to talk about regarding Leo is exactly why it's still a better movie than Disney's Wish. Because you can have this discussion about Leo, and it actually has all these topics that you can bring up, and that is also why it's a better movie than Disney's flippin' Wish. Outside of Tokyo, rent, etc. is not too bad, but you won't live in a huge flat. Yeah. There's this one channel I watch where they were interviewing, like on-demand street interviews. And one of the older gents they interviewed actually said that if you're a foreigner, consider coming to Tokyo and coming to Japan and staying outside of Tokyo. And I agree. I think there's a lot more to see about in the country as a whole than just Tokyo. Because I would like to go to Kyoto myself. I would like to see like the historical parts of the city. That's the kind of thing I'd be interested in. My friend has a friend who, she was born in Japan, and she moved back there, and she actually got a really good deal on a very good apartment, because it was like right opposite what were the traditional execution grounds. And because people are quite superstitious, nobody wanted to live in that flat because it was too close to the old executioner grounds, and she didn't care. So she got like a really good deal on her rent because of that. Hey, Sets. Would have liked to go to Hokkaido. I don't know too much about Hokkaido other than the fact that it's really cold in winter. They get like the full blast of the winds from Siberia that like just hit Kyoto. And that's about as much as I know about it. Apart from the fact that I believe that's where the Ainu population is mostly situated, I believe. Hey, Brian. After years of screwing with copyright, Disney's got nowhere to go now. The thing with Wish, right? Believe it or not, I watched Wish. I watched like the horrible bootleg version that keep telling me, you know, go to slots.gov to win real money. Like, that's the version I watched. But what made Wish so frustrating for me is the fact that the only likable and sympathetic character in the whole thing is the villain. And it's frustrating because the movie doesn't think that. So you're like honestly emotionally invested in the villain, and the movie thinks he's a bad guy that should be punished. So it's an extremely frustrating watch, because you're basically watching the only likable character get like dunked on throughout the whole movie for no reason. And it's upsetting, and it's like really anger inducing. You want to go to March, April to see the cherry blossoms? When I was studying in Vancouver, the cherry blossoms in Vancouver are insane around that time of year. It's great though, highly recommend it. Hokkaido is very nice, feels like a different country to Japan, but the Ainu don't exist really. There's Japanese citizens with Ainu ancestry because their culture was erased. Oh, I was under the impression that
Very much like in America, where there's a native population. I thought that there was like an Ainu population present in Hokkaido. But like I said, I don't know much about Hokkaido. That is a part of my history I have to brush up on.
where does your hair come from? Like, what part of your head do these curl things come from? Oh, okay, I see. They actually, they don't go down, they go up. They do this. Like that. I've been hearing that is an issue with a lot of Disney-owned properties lately, where the most sympathetic and or reasonable person is supposed to be someone you hate or the villain. See, the thing about the villain is, do you guys want me to just spoil all of Wish? Like, would anybody care if I spoiled the plot of Wish? Let me know in the chat before I go any further, because my issues with the movie specifically spoils all of it. So I don't just want to go straight into spoilers if somebody actually wants to go watch the film. Absolutely, go ahead. Go ahead. You guys, okay. So my issue is, what happens in Wish is Magnifico the king becomes a king because he is from a land where his family was entirely eradicated, and I can't remember the exact details. I can't remember if it was like an invasion of another country or barbarians or what it is. But something happened where his old... Oh, sorry, it's my phone. So his old home was completely destroyed. And because of that, he learned how to do magic, and he got very, very good at it, specifically so that he could prevent that from ever happening again. So he, in the process, learned how to grant people's wishes. And what would happen is people would give him their wish in the form of like a bubble, and then he would take the wish into his castle. And then every now and then they would hold like a wish granting ceremony, and one of the people who have already given him their wish, he would grant that wish. He'd bring the bubble out and grant it. And once a person gives him their wish in the form of a bubble, they can't remember what it was that they wished for. It's a little convoluted, but like that's the plot, right? So you have the main character, Asha, and Asha is interviewing to become the Sorcerer's Apprentice, because this movie has so many references to like Disney stuff. Now, getting interviewed to become the Sorcerer's Apprentice, haha, whatever, funny joke. The part that confuses me is Asha can't do magic, so I don't understand why she's interviewing to become the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Like, I don't understand that plot point. But anyway, Asha discovers that the king holds the people's wish bubbles in his tower. However, he doesn't plan to grant every single wish he gets. Now, Asha's problem is her grandfather is turning 100 years old. Get it? Because Disney. And she really wants her grandfather's wish to be granted for his 100th birthday. And then she finds her grandfather's wish in the tower. And what her grandfather had wished for was to inspire future generations. And then she finds out that Magnifico has no intention to grant her grandfather's wish. And Magnifico's reason for never granting it is too vague. And what is it that her grandfather wants to inspire in people? Does he want to inspire revolt? Does he want to inspire anarchy? Because her grandfather doesn't specify what he wants to inspire the new generation to do. He just wants to inspire the generation to do something. And so because it's a very vague wish, Magnifico doesn't want to grant it. He says he will keep the wish safe, but he won't actually ever make it come true. He will just kind of keep it. And then Asha asks him, well, if you don't plan to grant the wish, why can't you just give it back so that he might try and grant the wish himself? And the king says no, because the wishes are safe with him. He plans to just keep them safe because
it's very clearly communicated that Magnifico the king has severe PTSD from what happened to him when his home as a child was destroyed. And he and Asha have this entire song number called I'll Protect You, where Asha is singing to her grandfather's wish specifically, and Magnifico is singing to everybody's wishes that he has in his tower. Because he says to Asha, it is better if people don't know that their wishes can never be granted. It's better for them to live with hope than to know that he cannot grant their wishes because he feels they might be dangerous. Now, Asha isn't happy with this. So Asha decides that people should be allowed to get their wishes back if Magnifico never intends to grant them. So she has a song number called I Want More for Us Than This, which is a very confusing song number because the city she lives in is presented as a utopia. Everybody is happy. Nobody wants for everything. Everybody is content. And yes, part of that is because they expect that one day Magnifico will grant their wishes, but nobody seems to be struggling. Nobody's unhappy. Everybody is living in this extremely utopian society, so much so that people come from all over the continent to live there because it's such a good place to live. It's such a miraculous city to live in. So she has the song number, I Want More for Us Than This. Then she goes to her grandfather and she says, I found your wish. Magnifico never intends to grant it. And her grandfather says to her, why would you tell me that? Why would you not let me live in hopefulness that it might be a possibility? That why would you tell me? Like, you're just upsetting me for no reason. Why would you tell me? And then Asha goes, oh, but you have such a beautiful wish. Let me tell you what it is. And her grandfather says, why would you tell me what a wish is that I can never grant? Why are you telling me any of this? So Asha has a big tantrum and she goes out into the forest and she wishes upon a star and the star comes down, blah, 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 blah. So Magnifico sees this flash of light of the star coming down. Now, he doesn't know who it is. He doesn't know what happened. He just knows there has been a vast display of magic that wasn't done by him. So what he does is he gets the entire kingdom together and he says, somebody has challenged me last night. Somebody has let forth magic, which was not done by me, and this is a direct challenge on me as your king. And so, if you have any information on the person who displayed this magic, I need you to let me know. And anybody who lets me know will automatically get their wish granted. Kinda shitty, but Magnifico is under the impression that his kingdom is in danger because, again, that's what happened to him when he was a child. And as things go on, he gets more and more paranoid that there's somebody out there who is going to attack his kingdom. He is more and more paranoid that there is a plot who want to get rid of him as king, take over, and basically ruin his kingdom. And he has a book in his study which is forbidden magic. It grants you like massive power, but it's absolutely forbidden because its forces will corrupt you. So eventually Magnifico gets so paranoid that his kingdom is in danger, he uses the forbidden power book. And the second he opens that book, it completely corrupts him. You can see like the green magic infuse him and he goes completely off the rails. And then he realizes that he can like physically crush the dream bubbles and they give him like a massive spike in power. So he starts doing that to try and, you know, it's the typical thing of like, the king has gone mad. The paranoia and everything has driven him insane. But that character of Magnifico is completely ruled by fear and paranoia and the desire to protect his kingdom. So for the entire movie, and I knew they weren't going to, but the way that story should work is Asha should undo the dark power that's corrupted Magnifico and then show him it is okay to allow other people to have ambitions and dreams. That is not inherently dangerous. It is okay to allow people to have ambition. That's what the story should be, in the way they've set up the story. That is not what happens. What happens is Asha inspires a revolt amongst the people. The queen, who previously was shown in this movie to be refreshingly very loving towards her husband, they were like a really sweet and loving couple, she immediately throws her husband under the bus because she is worried about him because he's become completely corrupted. So she just kind of joins the revolt. And then once all the townspeople stand up to Magnifico and he tries to enslave all of his people using corrupted dark book magic, and they all kind of stand up to him and they undo his magic and he gets trapped in a gem. So what happens? The queen goes, throw this gem in the dungeon. And so this man gets thrown in the dungeon where he will rot away for the rest of his life because he had the terrible ambition of protecting his kingdom and allowed himself to become corrupted by evil forces. And all of like the really despicable things he did while he was corrupted. And the only reason he got corrupted was out of a need to protect the people of his kingdom. And that's the movie. And it is the most frustrating viewing experience I've ever had. Even knowing, because I knew this movie was bad, even knowing they weren't going to try and redeem this character, they were just going to, throw him in jail. I knew that's what was going to happen. It is frustrating to sit there and watch it happen, because you, as a human being who cares about other people, sit there and you have like genuine sympathy for this character. You have genuine desire to see this poor character get saved from this corruption. You have this desire to see him saved from whatever it is that haunts him. You want to see him do better, and the movie is just concerned that he just deserves to get, not even just thrown in jail, to get imprisoned in a gem and have the gem thrown in jail forever. And it's the last time you see him. And like, that's the movie. And it's so awful and painful to watch. Like I said, even knowing that's what was going to happen, it's still painful to sit and experience. As like a viewing, like sitting and experiencing the movie is frustrating. Gee, thanks, honey. Characters under corruption or mind control are tragic, not really evil. That's the thing. And like, they don't even attempt to consider that he's been corrupted by the book. They see him as evil. Even when he is never really portrayed as such. Early on, he's portrayed as tragically, I guess paranoid would be the best way to put it, but it's clear his paranoia doesn't come from a need for power. It doesn't come from, he doesn't want people to realize they're not as well off as they could be. It's not like he wants to suppress creativity. He's not doing like any evil dictator things. He genuinely just wants to protect people because his home got burned to the ground. So why are we punishing this character for that? That's the kind of character, you steer him in the right direction. You show him that it's okay. You show him his methods were wrong, but it was fear that was blinding him to things. And you make him realize he made a mistake. And this movie's like, no, he's just bad. Throw him in jail. Yeah, that's the other thing. I see somebody saying here, sure, he was kind of narcissistic and egocentric. And that's kind of the thing. He's just kind of shown as, he's not even like obnoxiously egocentric or like narcissistic at all. He just kind of, he knows he's good looking. And very similar to Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy, that's kind of how he talks about himself. He's just like, yeah, I know I'm good looking, right? And that's kind of it. He's not like the evil queen from Snow White or anything like that. He kind of knows he's hot, and he doesn't pretend he isn't. And that's about as deep as it goes.
It's just very badly put together.
And then the songs are terrible too. Like, I'm not entirely sure if people think that the entire movie was written with AI or if it was just the songs, but I think at least one of the songs, specifically This Is the Thanks I Get, I'm convinced that one is partly written by AI. They might have gone in and spruced it up a little bit, but there's no excuse the line, I can't help it if mirrors love my face. It's genetic. I got these genes from outer space. That is a real lyric in that song. And the other real lyric is, I let you live here for free and I don't even charge you rent.
Like that entire song, it's like no human being wrote this. I refuse to believe that a human being wrote this song. Assisted with AI. I think like what they did is they gave the AI a prompt, and then they took that prompt and they probably like corrected a line or two, but not enough in my opinion, because it's still very, very, very clear that this was not written by a human being.
And that's the thing, like, I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like, what's worse? Is it worse that Disney used an AI for this song? Or is it worse that they hired somebody who was so incompetent at lyric writing that people think it's written by an AI just because they're that bad at their job? Like, what's the worst situation there? Like, what's actually the worst outcome of those two? Because I genuinely can't decide.
Because again, if you watch
Mauler, he did a video on, which one was it? Ant-Man and the Quantumanium, like that one, whatever it was called. And the person who wrote that movie had never written a screenplay for a movie before. And like by his own admission, because it's in the director's commentary, he'd never written a movie he'd never written a screenplay before. And they put him on like a $200 million Marvel movie and told him to write the script. That's insane.
I think I've done all of Geno's moving parts. Let me actually just... Yeah, this leg's too short. I thought so.
I was yelling about Wish so much. My voice is now going just because it didn't make me angry. That's the thing. If something makes me like honestly angry about a movie's writing, right? I don't yell and go into hysterics. I get like very quiet and I like really dissect what it is that upset me so much. Like when I went into the magical girl transformation scene in the Superman cartoon, like that was me when I'm angry. Like that's what I do when something honestly upsets me in a show or movie. I get very quiet and I get very direct, and I'm like very specific with my questions of like, why was this done? But when I'm just like yelling and shouting, I'm not actually that angry. I'm just like, what would you even call it? I guess it's like indignation to a certain degree. It's a level of anger of annoyance, I suppose, where it's still funny. Like, even to me, it's funny. I think that's the other thing. Like, I start yelling and ranting, but when I'm yelling and ranting, it's not because I'm actually angry. It's just because I'm flabbergasted by how stupid it is. I think that's it. Like, my energy level and my ranting and histrionics is because I'm in disbelief at what I'm seeing. So my like yelling and stuff tries to match the level of disbelief I'm into. Whereas if I'm like honestly angry at something, like I would be a lot more direct in why it actually makes me angry and why I like actually find it upsetting and what's the word? I'm blanking. Unacceptable. Ironic anger? I guess so. Sometimes it's just, when something annoys you, it's just to be like, guys, I have to yell about this because it's so stupid and it irritates me and I feel like I'm going insane, and I need somebody to know about the fact that this is driving me up the wall.
Like, that's all it really is. Whereas, like, honest anger, I feel like you have to go into, like, better detail and, like, really break down into bite-sized chunks why something makes you angry. Like, why it honestly offends and annoys you. Because if something honestly offends and annoys you and you just start yelling and ranting about it, people really aren't going to take you as seriously because you're coming across as a bit of a joke. And that's kind of why I also say, like, Wish and stuff, and even Leo, yelling and ranting about it, it's kind of fun, right? Because it's not that serious. But if it's something that, like, honestly upsets you, it's important to really break that down into specifics so that you can properly communicate why you find it offensive or anger inducing. Like I said, with the Superman thing, my issue was it took a moment that should have been important to the characters experiencing them and instead completely sabotaged the emotional resonance of that scene in favor of making a reference. And that to me is just disrespectful, but not towards the audience. It's disrespectful to the story you are telling, if that makes sense. So, like, that's also why I broke that down the way I did, because it honestly made me angry. Like, if it was in a different show and it was just kind of for fun and ridiculousness, that would be one thing, but it was just specifically the placement of that transformation scene. That's why it annoyed me as much as it did, is because it was sabotaging its own story and its own emotional weight of that story. Whereas Leo, I mean, it's the stupid talking lizard Adam Sandler movie. Do you think I really care that much? Do you think I really care that much about the talking lizard movie? Also, just yelling about Leo, that was kind of me recreating me and my friend's reaction to it as we were watching, because it was really funny. They got really upset at that movie. It was I found it highly entertaining. Because my friend who I watched it with, they actually, like, work in Hollywood. Like, they actually work in the film business. I don't want to out them too much, so I'm not going to go into detail what they do specifically. But they are, like, part of the movie business. So that was also why it was so funny, because they've got, like, this knowledge and this experience. So them just screaming their head off at the Adam Sandler talking lizard movie was highly entertaining to me. I don't care, now watch me write a novel about it. How I do not care. Let me count the ways, and then I have, like, a rolled up scroll for some reason, and then I just, like, let it go, and it, like, unravels, and it just keeps unraveling all across the room and, like, out the door. It's like, these are my reasons, I don't care. What's better, Wish or the onslaught of direct-to-video sequels from the 90s and 2000s? See, you're asking a person who works in 2D animation, so my answer, simply by principle, would be, like, the direct-to-video sequels, because at least they were 2D animated, which is completely unfair, is completely biased, and does not actually reflect the quality of those movies. But I will say, those direct-to-DVD and video sequels, they did give us Lion King 1.5, which is genuinely one of the most amusing things I've ever watched, because it, like, speaks to my inner, my, like, slight inner troll nation, not nation, what's the word? See, I'm not a troll, like, I want to upset people, where, like, I want to make people angry, but I enjoy when something can take the piss out of something, and I know that a lot of people were really, really angry at Lion King 1.5 because it was making jokes while Mufasa was, like, dying off screen. And that's, like, one of the reasons I like that movie, is because it's making Mystery Science Theater 3000 jokes while these, like, genuine emotional, like, soul-shattering events who are really, really well done and, like, extremely well-made filmmaking. And then you've got this, like,
straight to DVD movie and is just kind of making fun of the whole thing. It's just kind of like, just not tearing it down. It's not like that aggressive, but it's just kind of making fun of itself in a way, if that makes sense. So I really like that movie. And also, I just like Timon. I'm a big Timon fan. I was like obsessed with that character when I was 7 years old, which, you know, leave it to me to imprint on the one character in the whole movie that was voiced by a gay actor. So of course that's the one that 7-year-old me imprints upon. Oh, and somebody said Cinderella 3. Cinderella 3 is also really good. Like, unironically, Cinderella 3 is fantastic. Cinderella 3 is probably better than the live-action Cinderella remake. I know that's not a high bar to clear, but if we're comparing, like, direct-to-DVD Disney movies to, like, live-action Disney movies, I genuinely think that that Cinderella 3 is better than the live-action Cinderella, in my opinion. My friend imprinted on Scar and thought he was the good guy. That's concerning. Not as well, it depends. I'm guessing your friend means the movie, because if it's the Broadway musical, that would raise even worse implications, because the Broadway musical of The Lion King keeps a plot point that was cut from the movie, which is that as soon as Nala grows up, Scar wants to marry her, mostly because, like, out of politics, not due to any actual attraction. He just feels that maybe if he has a queen at his side, it would empower him more over the lionesses who don't really respect him. But it's still kind of, that's why they removed it for the movie. They actually turned Lady Tremaine into a threat. Yeah, like, Lady Tremaine in the Cinderella 3 is really good. Like, and just the concept itself is so cool. It's like, what if the evil stepmother got her hands on the magic wand? Like, that's it. And it's one of those fantastic things where you just have a very, very, very cool setup. Like, a very simple change that completely alters everything else. It's kind of like the Jor-El AI in the Superman cartoon, where all they did was make it so Superman can't understand Jor-El. Like, that's the only change they made, and then they just let the story kind of unravel on its own. That's kind of the same thing with the concept of giving what would happen if Lady Tremaine got her hands on the magic wand. That's all you had to do, and the movie kind of almost writes itself. Zazu unintentionally convinces him to have an heir. Yeah, it's something like that. The musical, the Broadway musical of The Lion King also kind of paints Scar a bit more like King Lear in a way. Although, don't take my word for that, because I need to watch King Lear. I read it... Sorry, hiccup. I read King Lear when I was... How old was I? 14, I think? A long time ago, okay? I'm a lot older than I appear. I read King Lear when I was very, very young, but I need to actually sit down and watch it. But in the Broadway musical, that's kind of more what they were going for with Scar. Whereas in the movie, Scar seems like he just kind of gets boring after he gets power. He kind of gets power and then he's satisfied and that's it. Whereas in the Broadway musical, he's like this king that goes insane and becomes paranoid and like poisoned by the concept that even now that he's king, nobody loves him, right? And it's really fascinating. It's such an interesting take on that character. I can kind of understand why they didn't do that in the animated movie, because it adds an extra layer of complexity, which might have muddled the story they were trying to tell. But it's a use of that character that I find very fascinating, and I'm happy that they at least incorporated it into the Broadway musical, because it adds a lot more to like the entire scope of the Lion King story. And I just think it's a very interesting idea. It's a very interesting take on that character. Battle Angel Alita was a great live-action adaptation. I need to watch the live-action Battle Angel Alita. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I'm not personally attached to Battle Angel Alita, but it is one of those like very, very, very early manga
that I read, you know, back when the internet wasn't as widespread. So you kind of just read and watched whatever anime and manga you can get your hands on. And Battle Angel Alita was one of those for me. It was like one of the few manga that I could get my hands on. And so even though I'm not like in love with it, it's kind of got almost a nostalgia factor for me. But it's not like something where I'm gonna scream if they changed a character's name or anything like that. My favorite live action adaptation is Air Bud. Or Cory in the House. No, the best anime, I know the joke is Cory in the House is the best anime, but truly the best anime is Nyan Neko Sugar Girls. And I will die on that hill that Nyan Neko Sugar Girls is the best anime. Did you see somebody dubbed Nyan Neko Sugar Girls into actual Japanese? And like all the weeb Japanese words in the original English version, they translated into like American stuff. So like Satoshi, when he goes down and he goes, "Oh, my favorite, Pocky and Ramune," and like in the Japanese version, he's like, "Oh, hamburger and Coca-Cola." It's like the funniest thing. I watched it like 7 times on loop when I found it. I was laughing so hard. If I could figure out like how to play clips in Streamlabs a little easier, like just flipping back and forth, I'd actually just show that clip to you guys because it's so good. Hamburger on Coca-Cola. Actually, maybe I can just play it, even if you guys can't see it, because I'm guessing most of you have seen Nyan Neko Sugar Girls, or at least know what it is. If not, you should look it up. It's like one of the best things ever made. The Ghost Story dubs are amazing. The Ghost Story dubs are really good. I think there's 1 or 2 points where it aged poorly, just because it kind of has a bit of that edgy early 2000s humor to it, but for the most part, it's fantastic. It's kind of like what they did to Samurai Pizza Cats, except even more unhinged. Because like Samurai Pizza Cats, they got the anime and they were not given scripts for the anime. And they were not given translated scripts. So they kind of had to make up what they thought was going on in the episodes based on the visuals. And that is why Samurai Pizza Cats is the way it is in the original dub. And hilariously, the English dub for Samurai Pizza Cats is funnier than the original Japanese. Japanese Nyan Neko Sugar Girls. Thank you, search history. I can just click it on. I don't even have to go looking for it. Okay, I'm gonna have to... here we go. Somebody clipped it. I can save you... Koneko, yeah, it's Koneko-chan, right? I can save you Koneko-chan from just screaming her head off, and I can just give you the part where Satoshi is happy about his hamburger. So here's the Japanese dub of Nyan Neko Sugar Girls. If it'll play. Because of my internet.
Ah, hamburger sandwich to Diet Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I'll replay it because it buffered there for a second.
Ah, hamburger sandwich to Diet Coca-Cola.
It's so good. It's fantastic. Raku-chan, thank you. Again, I'm terrible with names. That's why Samurai Pizza Cats has lines like Tomcats can't live with them, can't throw them down a well. It's also like why the Shogun character, it's very obviously supposed to be a fox, but they refer to him as a rat. Like little things like that. Sounds like 2007 Newgrounds. Yeah, that's pretty much Nyan Neko Sugar Girls in a nutshell. Nyan Neko Sugar Girls, if you were on DeviantArt in the early to mid 2000s
Nyaneko Sugar Girls will mean a lot more to you than it would if you were too young to be around that era, because it is like distilled what being an anime fan was like on DeviantArt in the mid 2000s. It's like everybody spoke like that. Why is my phone buzzing? I don't know why my phone's buzzing at me. I told it to shut up. Are you Nyekos ready for a catch-up? Seriously, after the stream, if you've not seen Nyan Neko Sugar Girls, look it up. It's really good. Just maybe, like, serious volume warning, because that show is so loud. Especially Raku-chan. Like, Raku-chan will break your speaker. Unpopular opinion. I think that the shading colors that My Adventures with Superman uses for skin a lot of the time looks kind of ugly. You know what? It's funny you say that. I didn't say it in the video because I didn't want to spend even more time breaking it down. But my friend Tinas, who did the red lines for the part where I was talking about storyboarding, the second I showed him the screenshots where I was like, what is going on in the storyboarding? One of the first things he said to me after he was done yelling about the composition is he hated the fact that the shots used like light purple on a multiply layer like this. He hated that all the shading in that shot was this, like this exact color, because he says it is incredibly lazy, especially for like a professional show, to just use like light purple on a multiplier layer, because it is a very quick way to make things look like okay. But it's very, very lazy. It shows that not a lot of thought went into the shading for that specific scene. Do I like Avril Lavigne? I did when I was younger, but I was never really into her. You must understand, I am a big fan of metal. So when I was a teenager, I was listening to Linkin Park, and I wasn't really listening to him, but I was in art class, and we were allowed to play whatever music we wanted. So the 3 years of high school in art class was me listening to Marilyn Manson, and Evanescence had just become super popular, so it was a lot of Evanescence, it was a lot of Marilyn Manson, it was a lot of Linkin Park, it was quite a bit of Blink-182, it was The Offspring. Like, that's what we listened to. And then once I was 18, I discovered Blind Guardian, and I mean, it was just downhill from there. Blind Guardian is my absolute favorite band, like, ever. They have a new song about Neil Gaiman's American Gods. Absolutely incredible. Suddenly I'm seeing Seepuff and a Hot Topic get up. We don't have Hot Topic here, which is very sad, because whenever I visit my friend in the States, we go to Hot Topic, and I got myself like a really cool like Sailor Moon. It's a dress, and it's black, but it's got Sailor Moon like her as a little character over and over again on the fabric, and it's really cool. So Hot Topic has like really awesome things, but it's just not something that's available here. Any Iron Maiden? I wasn't really exposed to Iron Maiden, but I do like Iron Maiden. I wanted to see them at Wacken this year, but I was so annoyed, and I imagine it's for licensing purposes. I watched Wacken's live stream, and Iron Maiden was the headline event for one of the nights, and every single band, you could watch them perform live except Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was the only band where you could not watch them on live stream, so I'm convinced that must have been like a licensing thing. I was so annoyed. But they did play Iron Maiden at Wacken in 2019. They played like an older performance of theirs, and I really, really liked their music. But hilariously, one of my favorite bands at Wacken this year was Uriah Heep. And I was like so excited to see them perform live.
So you have like all these old men in their 70s on stage, and I'm just like, yeah, Uriah Heep. Which Blind Guardian song do you recommend as a first-time listener? For me to answer that, I have to ask you, how heavy do you like your music? Because Blind Guardian, they do a lot of medieval style music, so their like level of hard differentiates. So it depends what you're looking for. Some of my favorite songs by Blind Guardian is Curse My Name, which is far more acoustic compared to some of the other songs. Curse Thy Name is really, really, really good. And Curse My Name, not Thy Name. Curse My Name is based on, all their music is based on things, first of all. That's something worth knowing. All their music is about something specific. They've got a song about Stephen King's The Tower. They've got a song about the Witcher books specifically. They've got a song about the Wheel of Time books. They've got an entire album about the Silmarillion. Not Lord of the Rings, specifically the Silmarillion. They've got a song about Peter Pan. And like I said, one of their newest songs is about Neil Gaiman's American Gods. So, Curse Thy Name is about a specific historic document that was written in like the 13th century, which made it so that it is legal for a populace to behead and execute their king, even if the king had not done anything specifically treacherous. And basically that law was put into place so that if peasantry revolts and execute their king, that the monarchy can't come later on and say, hey, actually that execution wasn't fair, so now we're going to burn your village to the ground. So Curse My Name is specifically about the rights that peasantry have to execute kings, regardless of whether they were actually tyrants or not. And that's what the song's about, and it's a really good song. The other song I like is And Then There Was Silence, which is a 13-minute song about the Iliad. And that song is a piece of art. It is so good. Good lord. And they have a song called Sacred, which they did for the video game Sacred 2, which is really, really good as well. And like I said, Secret of the American Gods is fantastic. They did a cover of Everybody's Surfing by the Beach Boys, which is like not serious at all, but it's hilarious and I love it. And what else did they do that I like? Mirror, Mirror is very good. And of course, there's the classic, the Bard song, which is entirely acoustic. There's no other instrumentation other than the guitar. And that's like one of those songs where when they play the Bard song at Wacken, it's mostly the audience singing. Like Hansi barely has to lift the mic because the entire 80,000 audience is singing that song. So Bard's song is also really, really good. And I know like a lot of people like Valhalla. That's the one people always want them to play at Wacken because it's fun to sing along with. But I'm not the biggest fan of Wacken. I find it very noisy, whereas I find a lot of the other songs are far more intelligent in terms of composition and lyrics. So yes, like any of those. I like metal, just no screamer metal. I want to hear what the vocalist is saying, you know. Yeah, Blind Guardian doesn't do screamo. I don't really like screamo because I get bored. I tune out. I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead, you know. I just don't find screamo interesting. I generally find it boring. For some fun everyday metal, you can listen to, oh geez, how do I pronounce this? Give me a sec. Uchiku Bigo Kumon Dokokai. I think I said that correctly. I am not familiar with them. I'm not super familiar with a lot of Japanese metal, and it's because I find Japanese metal tends to be very overproduced. And I don't really like metal that's overproduced. You know, it has a lot of electronica usually. It has a lot of I don't know how to explain it. Just like really overproduced, I guess is the best way to put it. Like the only Japanese metal that I tend to enjoy is baby metal. And even then, there's like very specific songs by baby metal that I like. Headbanger is very good. Like Baby Metal's song Headbanger, that one's really good.
Japan has some great black metal.
Black metal is very hit and miss with me. Like I said, because I don't like screamo, and I know black metal and screamo are two different things, but it's like similar to me where my brain just kind of tunes it out, and I get bored. I need metal to have like actual lyricism to it that my brain can like chew on, and that's why I like Sabaton as well, because like Sabaton, they sing about something and their songs have like a narrative to it. That's also why I like them a lot.
How do you think Disney should fix what specifically? Do you mean just in general? How should Disney fix Disney? I like how we're talking about metal while the background music is contrasting, to say the least. Yeah, man, if I could, I would play metal, but I would just be...
First of all, I'd probably be blasting everybody's ears off.
It doesn't make for the best, like, accompanying music to art. And I can't sit still when I listen to metal, so I would be bouncing around on the mattress and just, like, kind of not be in control of my stylus, because I can't listen to metal and sit still, which is a big problem when I'm like in the car and I've got my Spotify on like mix, and then they put on something by freaking Powerwolf, and so I'm just like losing my mind when I'm trying to drive and get groceries. It's very funny. Oh, Christmas can be metal too. Oh, dude, there is a song, and I want to play it on stream so badly. It's a mashup of Last Christmas by Wham mixed with South of Heaven by Slayer. It's like one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life, but I can't play it because of copyright, and it drives me crazy because it's so good. Thoughts on Doom Eternal OST? I haven't really played a lot of Doom Eternal. From what I've heard of their soundtrack, it's pretty good. I just have to listen whether it's something that I would actually find interesting, or if it's the kind of metal that I'll just kind of get bored with and space out. Because that's often what happens with Wacken. With Wacken, a lot of bands back to back, I'll just start spacing out because the metal will just be kind of, you know, what you'd expect from metal. And it won't give me enough to really like chew on mentally. It's also why I like Uriah Heep. Like, I really enjoy Uriah Heep's music a lot. Like I said, I was so excited that they were at Wacken this year. And I was sad they only played one of my favorite songs, which is Lady in Black, which I think they are like contractually obligated to play. Because I think people would tear apart the stage if they were live and didn't play Lady in Black. But they didn't play any of my favorites, but it was okay. I was still happy to see them, and I enjoyed what they did play. Oh, you know what's another very good Blind Guardian song is Carry the Blessed Home, which is about Stephen King's The Tower. Like, that song is so good. Lady in Black is the best. It really is. Like, it's genuinely great. I just wish they would play other songs as well. Other songs that I specifically like. Like, Wise Man. I love Wise Man. And Mistress of All Time. I really like that song as well. And I know Uriah Heep did The Wizard, but I actually prefer Blind Guardian's cover of The Wizard. Sorry, I'm busy talking about metal. I'm probably alienating like 95 of the people in chat. There is a solution to the Disney problem, but it's not appropriate for me to say in a stream. Yeah, it's a difficult problem. That's the other thing that made Wish painful to watch for me, right? Because Wish is supposed to be this, as far as current Disney is concerned, Wish is supposed to be the celebration of 100 years of Disney as a company, right? And I'm watching Wish, and it's so generic, and it's so made by committee, right? And you can tell it's written by committee, even before the news came out that the animators were absolutely miserable working on it because the producers and the guys in charge kept coming back and telling them to change things every day or so. They would tell them to change something. But
but it's so soulless, and it made me very sad because I was doing, and I still want to do, the Disney where I watch every single Disney movie, and watching Wish, all I could think to myself is Walt Disney, the man himself, did not work as hard as he did for you guys to be fucking around the way you are. Not even like angry and not depressed. It just made me like genuinely sad, like sentimentally sad. I felt sadness watching this movie and thinking about the things that Walt Disney did. Like, don't get me wrong, the man's not a saint. The man did things wrong, but it's because he was a human being. He did things wrong on a human being basis, right? And it just really sucked thinking about him and thinking about the 9 old men and thinking about Ollie Johnson and Frank Thomas and all these guys, and how much they gave and how much they worked and how much passion and love they had for the craft, and to see this thing that they had built be treated the way it is being treated by the current company, it made me sad. Like I said, it's not like annoyed, it's not like anger, it's not even depression, because I feel like that kind of depression, it's a completely different emotion. It just made me sad. It made me sad. It made me sad for Walt, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't make me sad for the state of the company. It made me sad for Walt as a person, that this is what was being done to what he had built. And I felt bad for the man. I hope that somewhere in the near future, somehow the 3D animators can get a union. Oh, they do. They've recently, I believe they've recently unionized. Like, that was in between the writers and actors strikes. That was actually a thing that happened, is, I believe, if I remember correctly. I know that the Disney VFX artists have finally unionized, and I think the 3D animators were included in that, but I'm not sure. Ghost, Nightwish, Rob Zombie, Offspring, Disturbed, Rammstein. Top ones that come to mind. Rammstein, I'm not as well versed. My mom's a bigger Rammstein fan than I am. I do like what I've heard of Rammstein. Nightwish I like as well, but I'm very picky with Nightwish. What else? Yeah, Disturbed, not so much. Offspring I was into when I was a teenager, not so much anymore. Oh, thanks for hanging out, Shire. Glad you could make it. There's no legal proof the library is being bribed, but there are clues. Oh, meanwhile, they are muscling more of their classic titles into the Library of Congress in FR, blocking out non-Disney animated features from being recognized. I mean, I guess, but in the digital age, I don't know. Like, that's an entire discussion on its own. Somebody said as well, the reason that they think that Leo is so well received is that people are just happy to eat something other than slop. Like, they were saying that so much garbage has come out recently that people are just happy for anything that even remotely resembles competent filmmaking. And I understand what they mean, but it also kind of doesn't make sense to me. But as you've probably figured out from my videos, I don't just watch the newest movies. I watched Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. I mentioned that in the new video. I watched that recently. That's very good. It came out in 1936. When I did my top anime list, I actually ended up watching the 1926 Metropolis for the first time. I'd seen the anime one many times, but I'd never actually seen the original, so I watched that. And it's very good. I don't think it's one of my favorites, but it's a very good movie. So that thing of like, oh, we've had slop for such a long time, we're so happy to have something different, it doesn't really make sense to me, because my thinking is, well, why didn't you watch the good things that you haven't seen yet? There's so many good animated movies. It is physically impossible for you to have seen all of them, so I don't understand why you're happy
for an Adam Sandler movie just because you've only been watching quote unquote terrible things. It's like, well, why have you only been watching terrible things? There's so many good things out that I guarantee you haven't seen yet. So, you know, and can I be like, oh, that sounds like a you problem? That's a bit mean. But that's also why I'm a little confused by that being a reasoning behind why it gets so much high praise. Because I'm like, well, there are so many great movies out there. Why haven't you been watching that? Why have you been watching slop? I don't understand. I don't understand that complaint. Diagnosis skill issue. Yeah, because it's like, I'm thinking of like animated movies that not many people, well, I don't see talked about as much. And I guess, see, I would like to recommend The Prophet, but The Prophet is such an art movie. I don't know if I can really recommend it. Be like, oh, well, don't watch Disney, watch Khalil Gibran's The Prophet, because the average moviegoer who wants to watch something that's kind of like Disney but not Disney, they're not gonna want to watch an animated movie that's just a bunch of poetry with visuals to it. That's not gonna be what they look for when they watch an animated film, right? But I'm trying to think, like, I really like Nocturna. Nocturna, it's a little cheesy at the end, but I genuinely like Nocturna. I think it's really cool. Animation's amazing, but it's just a good movie. That's a good movie to watch. Somebody mentioned Klaus. I don't know how many people have seen Klaus. That's always something worth watching. What else? I mean, there's Watership Down. I know a lot of people, they get all upset because of the violence in Watership Down. I don't know if it's just because I watched it when I was 4 and I grew up with that movie, so I'm a little desensitized to the violence in it, or if it's just because I really enjoy horror, so the violence in Watership Down doesn't really upset me. But I always feel Watership Down is a movie that gets a raw hand because it's such a good movie. It has such an incredible narrative. There are some incredible scenes and lines of dialogue in that movie, and people don't really talk about it because they're like, oh, it's the violent rabbit movie, and I'm like, there's more to it than that, but alright. Are we talking animated films? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think. And because I'm talking and drawing at the same time, I'm operating with like half a brain. Like, what films could people go back to and watch that they don't have to watch the terrible nonsense that Disney has been pushing out? Because I know there's a lot. Ralph Bakshi's Wizards. See, that's, like I was saying, that's a movie I don't know if it's a good movie or not. I don't think it's a good movie. I really like it. I really like that movie, but I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good film. But I'm not sure. A Land Before Time? I mean, yeah, but that's like, what's the Don Bluth, and I feel people kind of know Don Bluth. Like, Don Bluth isn't that out there to suggest to people. There's Asterix versus Caesar, which I really like. There's a bunch of animated Asterix movies, but I always feel like Asterix versus Caesar is the best one. I mean, there's that. There's Asterix versus the Vikings, but there's some things in Asterix and the Vikings which is a little cringe. It's good looking though. It's a gorgeous movie, but like I said, Asterix versus Caesar is probably the best one. Do Ghibli movies count? I think so. I still say The Old Rankin Bass, The Hobbit animated movie is a great watch. That's true, I only watched that recently. That's like genuinely like a charming movie. Again, I'm not sure if the Rankin and Bass Hobbit movie is good, but I find it very charming, and I find that if you are a fan of The Hobbit specifically, not Lord of the Rings, but The Hobbit, that Rankin and Bass's Hobbit is really fun to watch because it's almost a musical. It includes all the songs from the original book. It's got this fantastic art style to it, and I think that's a pretty good one actually. Well, what does Diamond say we do not? Oh, do we have any hopes for Toy Story 5? No, we don't.
I downloaded an iceberg because I always wondered if that was something I should do. But as I saw with me trying to watch all the Disney movies, I have terminal can't shut up disease, and I think trying to do an iceberg would literally kill me because I would go way too into detail with everything on the iceberg. But I found an iceberg of like animation atrocities, I guess you could call it, and one of the things it includes on it is the 6-hour video that somebody made, like tearing apart Toy Story 4. And I was a little confused about that because I've watched the 6-hour breakdown of why Toy Story 4 is the worst movie ever, and even though it's a little silly at first, where you feel like the person is kind of getting too angry at little details which aren't that big a deal, but if you keep watching, you realize they are so angry at the start because those little things that weren't such a big deal compound upon each other. And by the time you reach like the middle of the video, you are just as furious as he is because just the absolute disrespect for story writing that movie has. And I'm not even a big Toy Story person, but it like personally offended me how they treated those characters. So I wasn't entirely sure why that was on the iceberg, because it was like amongst like Mysterious Mr. Enter and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know if I consider that video on the same level, because it might seem a bit silly at first, but if you keep watching it, it makes really, really good points. But yeah, that's an iceberg I considered maybe doing. But again, I don't know if I will, because I might die in the process if I attempt it. I imagine CPUF trying to make an iceberg would end up being longer than your average EFAP video. Dude, it would, but that would be like tier 1. And it'd be like 12 hours long, just because... The thing is, I find trivia details interesting, right? These are details and things that I find interesting. And because I find them interesting, I want to tell people about them because I think they're really cool. So I want to be like, guys, you gotta learn about this really cool, interesting thing I just learned. But then the problem is I do that for everything, and that's why my videos end up being as long as they are. Because I just think information is cool, and then I want to tell people about it. I think they were trying to find a good reason for Woody, Buzz, Jessie, and Co. to meet, interact again, but like, how? Toy Story 4 is such a mess. I saw a YouTube comment on that breakdown as to why Toy Story 4 is terrible, and it perfectly explains it, like the entire problem of that movie in like the fewest words possible, where it's like, Gabby, I'm sad. Give me your organs. Woody, okay. And like, that's the movie. And it's legit what happens in the movie. That is what happens in the film. And have you watched Bionic Pig? He does videos on animated movies. I have not, no. I'm trying to think, what animated YouTubers do I watch? I watch Saber Spark, obviously. I watch Just Stop. I sometimes watch Alice Mark. I find Alice Mark has some very interesting takes sometimes, where I'm not 100% sure why they think the way they do about certain things. And I really like Toonrific Tariq. I think that Toonrific Tariq is like probably one of my favorite animation YouTubers. Really, really cool guy. I highly recommend his videos. I think that's everything. Yeah. Oh no, I forgot the thing on his hat. I've still never seen the original Swan Princess, but learning about the weird religious stuff in the sequels has me endlessly fascinated. Yeah, that's wild, hey? I grew up with the Swan Princess, and I mean, I liked it fine. It wasn't a favorite, but I enjoyed it okay. And then you learn about the weird Mormonism in like the sequels and how off the rails they get with it. And it's like insane. It's really wild. And like the person I watched break that down, it's probably the same video you watched. The lady who broke down why those movies are terrible is actually religious herself, not Mormonism, but she goes to church herself. So like, it's not even somebody who isn't religious
breaking down why a movie is bad just because it's religious. It's like an actual religious person telling you why this movie is terrible with its depiction of religion. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating to me, because it's like even the target audience is like, wow, this is terrible. This is just really, really, really bad. I'm gonna go make myself a sandwich for dinner. Okay, enjoy your sandwich. I had a hot dog for supper. I got it when we went down to the beach, and I asked them for mayonnaise, and they put chili-naise on it instead. So I ate that just before the stream, and then I had to eat like an entire tub of yogurt to try and undo the chili, which I was not ready for. Have you watched Flowering Heart? No, I have not. Has anyone seen the new Chicken Run? I'm afraid to. I'm actually also afraid to watch the new Chicken Run. But it is made by Aardman, isn't it? Like they're actually doing it themselves. Which does give me a little bit more hope. But I am still exceptionally nervous. Like, I'm very scared. Especially because, like, the first Chicken Run, and I don't know if I really, I don't know if I learned this later or if I knew while I was watching it. There are so many references and callbacks to, like, World War II films and prison films, like, really, really strong, like bringing up those films, like the scene where I think her name's Ginger, right, where she's tossing the ball against the wall in her solitary confinement cage. That is directly from The Great Escape, which is a movie about American soldiers escaping from a POW camp in Germany during World War II, which is based on a true story. Like, that scene is directly meant to be not so much parodying, but like calling back to that scene in the movie. And there's like a bunch of callbacks to Escape from Alcatraz. There's callbacks to, like I said, The Great Escape. I think there's one for like Papillon, and there's one for like The Birdman of Alcatraz. There's like so many references to like really gritty prison and World War II movies. So I'm a little nervous as to how do you do the same thing making a Chicken Run movie in the year 2023. Like, is that something you can do, or are you going to lose that grittiness and it's going to become like something very shiny and sanded down in the process? Like, that's my concern. Have you ever watched Shark Tales? I liked it when I was 11. No, I don't think I'm familiar with that one. Let me just see. There you go. Ah! There you go. A lot of that movie is inspired by The Great Escape, I think. I realized that recently. Yeah, like a lot of it. The Great Escape is fantastic. I always preferred Kelly's Heroes, just because Kelly's Heroes is like the anti-war movie. If you don't know what Kelly's Heroes is, it takes place in World War II, and it's about these soldiers at the front during the war, finding out about this shipment of Nazi gold that's going to be happening. Like, the Nazis are transporting gold from one location to the other, and they find out that this is happening. So these American soldiers just abandon fighting in the war, and they like go off on their own adventure to like steal this gold. And that's what the movie is. It is the most like anti-patriotic film ever. It's so good. And they, like, literally, it's just a bunch of soldiers, like, ditching the war to get rich. It's really funny. Wasn't Don Rickles in it? Maybe. I'm very bad with names. It sounds familiar, though. Fun fact, the quality of Chicken Run gave Katzenberg the confidence to throw a tantrum when it was nominated for Best Picture Oscar. Yeah, but Katzenberg throwing a tantrum isn't really that shocking in general. He threw, like, that's part of the reason he,
I don't know if he left or got kicked out. I have to double check.
but he left Disney because he wanted, like, some or other big pat on the back for work that he didn't really do.
Like, for doing such a good job with the Disney Renaissance, when a lot of the time he actively
Tried to sabotage a lot of it, and it just got to the point where they kicked him out. He's, like, very saturated, I know, but I'm actually gonna try and reduce how shiny and bright his colors are in a sec. Because I want to do, like, the wood texture on him. But at the moment, he's kind of blinding my eyes here. Oh, Three Kings was the Persian Gulf War. Yeah, no, Kelly's Heroes is specifically World War II.
It's also because it was made in, like, I think the 70s. So it was kind of molded by the atmosphere of the time, because, like, everybody was really cynical because of the Vietnam War.
So Kelly's Heroes was made with, like, fully that mindset where nobody was really into celebrating patriotism and war and that kind of thing. That's also kind of why that movie exists and is the way it is. It's very much the government is only trying to screw you over, so fuck them, we're going to go get rich instead. Come and see, what were we saying about Come and See? Oh, I saw a reaction channel do Shark Tale, and to be honest, she kind of sells it as dated kitsch. I don't think I could really sell Shark's Tale in any way, shape, or form. Also, I saw you mention Come and See. I've not seen Come and See. That's one of the movies that's up on Moss Films' channel for free. I will probably never watch Come and See just because I think that is one of those movies that will deeply, deeply upset me and will, like, honestly do me damage that I don't need in my life. Even though I acknowledge that it is most likely a absolutely fantastic movie, I don't think that's a movie I can ever actually watch. I have a list on Letterboxd of movies that where I literally called the Letterboxd list "Do not watch these." So let me see, what movies do I have on here for movies I have no plan to ever watch, even though I can acknowledge that they are fantastic movies because they will do me, like, permanent psychological harm. Let me see here. Oh yeah, note to self, don't watch these. I'm already damaged, it's okay. Okay, Sophie's Choice. My mom told me I mustn't watch that. Rosemary's Baby, that's not one I will ever watch. Melancholia, no, absolutely not. Schindler's List, for obvious reasons. Grave of the Fireflies, for obvious reasons. Trainspotting, I've seen clips of Trainspotting, and there's, like, a specific thing that happens in Trainspotting, and even seeing the clip of the film upset me so much. It, like, really bothered me for, like, months afterwards, so that just automatically went on my do not watch list. Perfume, my mom's seen it. She says don't watch Perfume. I know what it's about. I've seen, like, reviews of it, but I don't think I need to watch that movie. Saving Private Ryan, because again, I saw a clip of Saving Private Ryan, specifically when they're storming Normandy, and there's, like, one specific clip and it upset me too much, so I'm like, okay, that's a movie I don't need to watch again, so that's on there. The Act of Killing, which if you know, you know, not even gonna explain that movie. Grizzly Man, for obvious reasons. The Cove, for obvious reasons. Melancholia, again, I've put it on the list twice, so I really shouldn't watch Melancholia. We need to talk about Kevin, for obvious reasons. Okay, and then the movie Milo and Otis. Milo and Otis is this, like, Japanese feel-good movie about a cat and a pug. Like, I think it's kind of like Homeward Bound. The problem is, when they made that movie, I think they killed multiple pugs and multiple cats by purposefully putting them in dangerous conditions. Like, a few of them drowned.
A few of them were grievously injured. There's like an insane amount of animal cruelty that went into making this movie. So even though the movie itself is not upsetting, that is why it's on the list. Is because I don't need to see that, because I know what happened in that movie. The Killing Fields, which again, The Killing Fields and The Act of Killing are two different movies, but Killing Fields is also on this list, and so is Come and See, is also on the list. And then there's one, I don't know if I put it here by accident, The Human Condition 3. Why is this on the do not watch list? Okay, for some reason The Human Condition Part 3 is on here. I don't understand why, I'll have to double check. And I also have Pink Floyd's The Wall, but that one is not as solid on the list. I think I will watch Pink Floyd's The Wall at some stage. I just need to be in a mental space where I am prepared to watch Pink Floyd's The Wall, because that is a movie that I know for a fact I'm going to watch, and I'm going to have to sit and deal with those emotions of watching The Wall for a few months afterwards. That's like something I need to watch when I am okay with just kind of sitting with those feelings for like a month or 3, and I'm just not prepared to do that right now. The Wall, yeah. Like, I like The Wall in concept, but like, I watched Folding Tables' video. Folding Tables made a YouTube video about Doug Walker's review about The Wall, and Folding Tables' video just explaining what The Wall is so that he can properly explain why Doug Walker's video on The Wall is so terrible. Like, his video just explaining The Wall, like, deeply upset me. And not like... it just made me very, very sad. It made me very, very sad. And not even about the war, but about the children that came after the war and like what they had to go through growing up in post-war England. And like it's very, very sad. It made me very upset to hear about. So I'm like, okay, I'm obviously not emotionally ready to watch this film yet. That's basically what it means. But unlike some of the other films, that is something that I might consider watching in the future. And I probably will at some stage. I just don't find myself emotionally capable of watching it right now. Even though I know it is... Like, again, I've seen clips of it. I've heard the music. But that's one that's gonna mess me up, fam. But it's different to, like, The Act of Killing, which I will never watch The Act of Killing, I'm sorry. Best thing to come out of it is the clip of him at the computer. Oh yeah, the honey commercial he did. That's so good. But also, like, I used the clip in the Superman video where I was showing how heavy-handed and shallow Rob Schneider's use of the Christ allegory stuff in The Man of Steel is. And I actually used audio from the Nostalgia Critics The Wall of Doug Walker just going, "Doesn't this remind you of Jesus?" Like, that's where that's from. It's from the Wall movie. Not movie, it's from the Wall review. Just because, like when I was watching the clips of that part of Man and Steel, that's like all I could imagine was Doug Walker just screaming, "I'm like Jesus, feel sorry for me." Like, that's all that was going through in my head. And very often when I'm writing videos, whatever stupid thing comes to mind, I write into the script and I don't think about it too much, in terms of comedy at least. I'm like, that's a very stupid joke, and then I write it down. The movie that destroyed me as a kid was Hachi, A Dog's Tale. Oh, I bet that's very sad. I think that would be something I'd be okay with watching, though. There's a few movies like that where, like, I acknowledge that the movie is very sad, but I think I would be okay with watching it. I would have used the part from his actual Man of Steel review where he keeps chanting, "I am Jesus." You know what? I almost did, but I felt, well, then I'm kind of just repeating the joke that Doug Walker already made. Like, I'm just regurgitating
the exact joke that he made. Whereas using the clip from the Wall review, the fact that I'm using a clip from the Wall review, if anybody recognized that that's where that audio clip comes from, it's more like doubling up on the joke. And I think it also illustrates how superficial Zack Snyder's... It's not even like symbolism. It's not clever enough to be symbolism. But whatever he did with that part of the movie, it is on the same level intellectually as the nostalgia critics The Wall. Like, that is like his equal in terms of cinema. That honestly is among your editing strength. It's what got me to enjoy all your videos thus far. Thank you. Because, yeah, that's genuinely where I'm like, that's a really stupid idea, and then I write it down. And it helps as well, because one of my biggest self-doubt problems when I write is I worry that a video isn't funny enough. And the thing is, I don't write specifically to be funny, because my goal is not out here to be a clown. Like, that's not really the goal. But my goal is to be entertaining to listen to, because I know if something is entertaining to listen to, it helps you like absorb the facts and like understand the conversation a little bit, if it's also interesting just to sit and watch. So when I'm writing the script, I often stress that the video is boring or it's bogged down by too much fact dumping and stuff like that. And that's where I kind of try and balance it out when I start editing, where very often as I'm editing, I'm thinking of like dumb things I can do in editing while I'm editing, right? Like that thought process happens as I'm editing. I'm not writing in a lot of the jokes. And that's also why I could never hire an editor to do that part of the job for me. Because 90% of like the clips and humor are things that I think of while I'm editing. And then I just put them in and be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll just add that. That's also why I was so confused with like the H Bomber guy's stuff. Not him specifically, but the plagiarism stuff he was talking about. I don't understand the concept of getting somebody else to write your videos. Editing, sure. I can understand if you don't want to edit your videos and due to time and the amount of work, you get somebody else to edit your videos. That I understand. But I don't understand the mentality behind getting somebody else to write your scripts for you. Because surely your channel is you, right? It is like what makes your channel unique to you is you. Is your thoughts and your contribution to the conversation that you're bringing towards the topic. So I don't fully understand, like, the point, I guess, in getting somebody else to write it for you. Because it's like, well, what's the point? Right? But I guess I think of videos as like forms of self-expression, and I suppose there are some people that just don't see it that way. It's very baffling to me. And like not in a I'm saying that to insult them. Like genuinely, when I stop and think about it, it's like I just don't understand. And even then when I do understand, where it's like, well, they're obviously more focused on the monetary side of things. They're more interested in just being a content mill. Like I can understand that intellectually, but then my brain still says to me, no, but that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? That was a wild part of the video in H Bomber Guy's video for me. It's just like that there are some people where they don't present themselves, and I'm like, but that's the point. Right? That's the point. Maybe they just consider it a collaborative video. It's not though, because it's like, you write my script for me and then I'll read it, and it's like, but then it's not your video. You might as well get Hatsune Miku to read your script in that case. H Bomber Guy was the first one I heard bring up how awful Illuminati was as a video essayist, which was amazing to me because all the videos about her scandals claimed she was known for her research. Yeah, you know what's funny? One of the worst things in life, I suppose, is when you suss somebody out and you're like, this person gives me very bad vibes. There's a lot of little red flags I notice about them. But because I'm not an asshole and I don't have proof and it's literally just how I feel, I'm not gonna say anything because I'm not a jerk. And then like years later, it turns out you were right and that person was an absolute asshole. And then you can't sit there and go, I called it, I knew it. Like, you don't get the satisfaction of like calling it. And that's me and Illuminati. And what it was with me is I watched 1 or 2 of her videos. But the thing that made me super, super angry about her content is she made a video about Dyatlov Pass. You know, and I don't know why, because Let Me Know made like the ultimate video about Dyatlov Pass. And I'm like, I don't understand why anybody else would bother. But regardless, she made a video about Dyatlov Pass. And for her thumbnail, for that video, she used a photo of one of the human remains, like their face. I forget which member of the hiking party it was. But she straight up, as her thumbnail, used a photo of one of the recovered human remains. And that was just her thumbnail. That was just the thumbnail to the video. And that upset me deeply because I'm like, what kind of person do you have to be that you would A, traumatize your audience like that, B, think that that is an appropriate thing to do with another human being who has passed away. It's so disrespectful to that person to use that as your like clickbait video thumbnail. You know, like what how can you be so unfeeling? How can you be so heartless to use that as your thumbnail? And like I said, and then not even considering the trauma that you are giving to your YouTube audience, because even if they don't click on the video, imagine you're subscribed to Illuminati and you're scrolling through your subscriptions on YouTube and you get slapped in the face with that in your subscription. You don't even need to click on the video to see it. It's such a reprehensible decision for her to have made that, and it completely turned me off her videos. That made me quite angry. And the other thing that kind of made me raise an eyebrow is she was talking about the Body Shop and like the bad things the Body Shop had done, and she was talking about henna. Right, yeah, and you know henna. It's what the Hindus would paint their hands with. I'm not sure if you, I'm guessing you guys know what henna is. You can use it to like dye your hair. I used to dye my hair with henna for a while, but traditionally Hindus, I think Muslims as well, they paint their hands with it. Right, it's a piece of culture. And Blair was talking about how the Body Shop was scamming its customers because it was selling henna, and to her it smelled like dirt. So they're just selling dirt to their customers and calling it henna. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Blair, that's what henna smells like. Henna is pulped like wood bark and leaves. Like it's pulped plant matter. It smells like dirt and mud because that's literally what it is. And she was like, she was acting all indignant to the fact that the Body Shop was selling a product that smelled like mud. She was like insulting henna. And I'm just like, how do you not know what henna is? How do you make a video discussing this and not research what henna... What? And that's when I stopped paying any attention to Blair. That's when I just gave up on Illuminati as like a content creator. And then I didn't think about her again until all this came out about her. And I was like, you know what? I'm not shocked. I am not shocked. I am a little shocked. I'm a little shocked at the severity of the situation. But the fact that she's a terrible video essayist, that part doesn't shock me. People didn't know what henna was. Right? I'm sitting there. I'm like, is it just because I live in a country where we have a very, very large Indian population, both Hindu and Muslim? We've got a very large Indian population. So to me, henna is just like a thing. everybody knows what henna is, and I was like, maybe it's like a US thing and she doesn't know what henna is. But how can you go on your YouTube platform and like tell everybody how the Body Shop is scamming people because they're selling their mud? And I'm like, Blair, did you not look into what henna is? Did you not read the Wikipedia article on what henna is? How can you say this in your YouTube video? This is just factually incorrect. And like I said, in between that and the really, really disrespectful video thumbnail, I gave up on Blair. And then all this stuff came out and I was really salty because I'm like, damn it, I can't even gloat about the fact that I always found her a little bit sus because I wasn't an asshole, and I'm not going to call YouTubers out based on like vague red flags and feelings I get, because that's just a nasty thing to do, right? There's another YouTuber that's like triggering some of my red flags, but I'm not going to name them because as far as I can tell, they are perfectly innocent and have never really done anything wrong. But after the whole Blair situation, I'm kind of keeping my ear to the ground to see whether some things that seemed off to me might have some weight to them. But anyway, that's my experience with Blair. What software are you using? I am using Clip Studio Paint EX, but I am using version 1. I am not using the new version 2. And I actually quite recommend Clip Studio Paint. They were getting kind of stupid for a while. They wanted to switch to a subscription only mode like what Adobe is doing, but then the community, like, there was such a backlash to that decision, they completely decided against it. So now I can recommend them again. Thank you for joining CPUF's TED Talk. Yeah, I feel like, again, when it comes to showing things in thumbnails, I think that it's not always bad to show like historical, I guess remains is the best part. I have a book on the archaeology of bog buddies, and a book on the archaeological story, I suppose, on bog bodies, and it has human remains on the cover of the book. But the thing is, those remains are thousands upon thousands of years old, and it's not like a horrific image, if that makes sense, right? It's an archaeological image, and it's mostly on the cover to show the jewelry that you sometimes find with these remains, and showing like the color of the peat and all kinds of things like that. Like, it serves a purpose. So it's not that I'm against the concept of using archaeological remains or historic remains as a cover or a thumbnail. I just think there's a way to do it where it's within historical context versus doing it for shock value, right? It's almost like clickbait, but it's not. Software as a service needs to die. It really does. Like I said, luckily Clip Studio Paint backtracked on that one really hard when people were outraged about it. It was really funny because you had like the English side of Twitter just in complete outrage, and then you looked at the Korean announcement, and like the Koreans, their outrage was even more brutal than the English speakers' outrage. That was really funny to follow. I actively refuse to pay for Adobe products until they give real licenses. Yeah, I don't think I own a single Adobe product anymore. I used to use Photoshop for many years, and when they went to subscription only, I literally just switched. I switched to Clip Studio Paint for art, and I use Wondershare Filmora for video editing. And I don't even use Adobe, like Acrobat Reader or whatever for PDFs. I use like a internet browser to open PDFs with, which isn't ideal, but it's worked so far, so it's fine. On a scale of 1 to American Dad, thumbnails on here have reached a solid 8.5 on needless shock value. Yeah, no, that one was on another level, and it's terrible because I don't watch a lot, but I sometimes watch. I guess true crime is the best way to put it. It's not so much true crime content as it is like, I want to say mystery content, like unexplained content, and then for whatever reason they often include like unsolved crimes and things. And even those videos, they don't feel the need to put something like really shocking as a thumbnail, right? They don't feel the need to do that. And then there's things like, because you can be like, oh, well, you have to show something shocking, otherwise nobody will watch. But then you've got people like Lemmy and Lemmy doesn't even show shocking content within the video itself, and then the video gets like 6 million views. So clearly that's not accurate. Highly recommend Lemmy if you don't watch him for whatever reason. He recently did like an hour and a half or almost 2-hour video on the JFK assassination, but specifically about like the book depository, like how the building was structured, and like the crime scene of the building itself. Like everything in that video is just that, and it's fascinating. Criminal investigation history content, kind of. The thing is, I listened to last podcast on the left, and they've kind of ruined a lot of true crime for me because they have absolutely no respect or time for a lot of these criminals. They treat them as losers. They treat them as like pathetic, which is what they are. So I can't take true crime content seriously anymore when they treat criminals as these spooky, like, terrible, horrible people. What could drive a person to be this terrible? And it's like, because he's an asshole. I'm sorry, that's it. He's an asshole. So, last podcast on the left has really ruined me because I'm like, I can't give these people any sense of gravitas for being losers that do harm to other people. I'm sorry. So it makes it very difficult to watch like actual true crime stuff on YouTube because it's a lot of them like buy into like how spooky it is and like the horror aspect of it, and I'm just like, no, nah fam. His Jack the Ripper video was great. I love the Jack the Ripper video that Lemmy made. I've watched it like I want to say 5 or 6 times, and that video I think it's almost 2 hours long. Highly recommend that one as well. And it's great because, again, he doesn't actually show any graphic imagery in it whatsoever. And he could. There's graphic imagery for those crimes that exist out there. He just doesn't feel the need to show it because he's like, he can tell an interesting story without resorting to that kind of thing. And there's a podcast I like called Respect the Dead, you might like. They just don't even pretend. That might be up my alley then. Because, yeah, it's that, like, that's the insistence of the gravitas that I just don't have time for. Like they did episodes on Gandhi and Mother Teresa and went all in on how awful they were. Yeah, it depends though, because again, that's the kind of content you have to be careful what you ingest of it. That's also why there's this one guy who, I'm not going to name who it is because I don't want to lambast the guy. There was a guy who did icebergs, and he does a lot of iceberg content, so I want to watch his stuff, but he was covering like lost media, and right at the beginning of his video he gets wrong that The Nightmare Before Christmas, he says it was directed by Tim Burton, which it's not. It's directed by Henry Selick. And I had to stop the video because my problem is, if you got that information wrong, then I don't know what other information you got wrong, and then I could be learning something which is in fact not true. And I don't want to learn facts and like have that trivia in my head and have it be factually incorrect. So, you know, that's really annoying, because that's happened to me before where I learned something and then I later learned that no, that's in fact not true at all. That happened to me when I did the
video on why 1930s cartoons are so weird.
And a lot of that video, if you haven't watched it, goes into Dadaism. Now, I first learned about Dadaism from
the Lindsay Ellis video, what was she talking about? I think she was talking
about Freddy Got Fingered. So she talks about Dadaism, and that's the first place I learned about Dadaism. But in her video, she says that
Dadaism was born out of cynicism due to World War One.
And for like years, I thought that was true. I thought that's where Dadaism came from.
And then I did my own research when I was making that video. At first I was just going to quote her, but I decided to double check my research. And it turns out that's not true at all. The reason that Dadaism surfaced was because the artists that started Dadaism had a big problem with the fact that art was a commodity that only rich people could afford. They felt that art was bought by extremely rich people who didn't have actual affection for art or what art meant. They just wanted big shiny art pieces in their house so that they could show off to other people. And like Dadaism was a direct response to that, to be like anti-art, to specifically criticize that kind of mindset. That's where Dadaism actually came from. But for like years, I think almost a decade, I just believed Lindsay Ellis's video that Dadaism came from cynicism due to World War One. So I'm careful about learning incorrect information. Let me see, is there anything else I need to do to Geno over here? Honestly, I thought it was a Tim Burton movie until a few days ago. Yeah, no, Tim Burton wrote the general story concept, and he wrote, I think he designed some of the characters, he wrote the general outline, and he provided some creative input. But the movie was directed by Henry Selick, and Henry Selick went on to make James and the Giant Peach before he and his buddies formed Laika, and then they did Coraline, Kubo and the Two Strings, Paranorman, like it's that side of things. The reason Tim Burton's name is on The Nightmare Before Christmas is because when that movie came out, Tim Burton was a hot commodity because he had just done the Batman movie, and he'd done Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and he'd done Beetlejuice. So Disney, in a marketing move, put Tim Burton's name on the movie because they knew that it would sell better if they marketed as being
from the mind of Tim Burton. So that's why that happened. Let's do this actually. Hold on. That's too much. Hold on. There we go. Actually, I can also do this. Let's make another layer. Put it to vivid light, I guess. Go in here. I think it's over here. No. Let's wait for that to load. It looks amazing, thank you. They put Tim's name over the title for the power of his name. Yeah, exactly. There's a fantastic video, I think I mentioned it before, called Tim Burton's World of Sad Boys, and it's so good. It's made by a creator who talks about Tim Burton's weird desire to be seen as this rebel, this outsider, but then you look at the fact that since he graduated from Cal Arts, he has only been given really big budgets for massive blockbusters. He has only ever made films for like giant corporations. So it's fascinating because it's by a person who used to be a very, very big fan of Burton until they grew up a little and started like questioning, a lot of his creative decisions and stuff. It's very good. I'll link it once I'm done here. Actually, this should be add glow. Did it again. New layer. Add glow. Jeez. And I also want, where's gold? There it is. This one. Yeah. There we go. And I think, oh wait, other thing I can do. How long have we been streaming? Oh, we've been streaming about 3 hours. It's about right. Luckily, my electricity has been very good, so I'm not really rushed, but I think I will call the stream in a little bit just for the sake of my voice. Maybe I can finally sit still for today. And I can start reading one of my new 47 novels. Overlay. No. Oh, no, you know what? It's not overlay. I think it's hue. No. No. Darker color maybe? No. Dark color, hue, saturation, color, brightness. Oh, multiply, I guess. And then if I do another layer and I set it to overlay again, and I go here, and I can do this and just turn it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, I think that's about as much as I can do to this picture. And maybe I can talk right into the mic again instead of muffling my voice. That was my computer, not yours. So how are you guys doing? Go back to chat here so I can actually see. Oh wait, I forgot. Chat isn't showing up on my laptop because it's that kind of day today. Just go here. I'm just gonna change this here quickly so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what I thought. My music here just switched to the ending, but I'm not gonna play that yet, so I'm just gonna start it again from the beginning. Zoom, quarter. There we go. Okay. Hey guys, how you doing? Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was so bad. I've heard some people say that the new Wonka movie is pretty good. I don't know if I will go watch it just because I really like the original 70s one, and you know, I'm a big fan of Gene Wilder, but then again, who isn't? And I don't really know if I want to watch a Willy Wonka that doesn't have Gene Wilder in it, you know? It's like, but Gene Wilder though. Burton's one of those directors that I like to a certain degree, but I've always felt something was missing from a lot of his work to really make me love it. Kind of feels similar about Del Toro. I really like Del Toro's movies a lot, but I understand what you mean about Tim Burton. I don't know whether my chat is working on my laptop because I'm looking at my phone and I can see chat. I can't see chat on the actual live stream feed here. So I'm gonna paste the link to this video and see if it shows up, you know, and just hope for the best. But this is the this is the video that I was talking about, and I'm linking it because it's from a much smaller channel. I think she's bigger than me, but it's not like a massive channel, so I'm not entirely sure how likely you are to see her in the algorithm, if that makes sense. I don't know how the algorithm decided this was a video I should watch, but I'm really glad I did. Let's see if that link works. So when the stream is over, that's something you can go watch. Hey, it worked. Fantastic. It's tradition to watch Young Frankenstein every Halloween. You're damn right, Gene Wilder. I actually have an audio book of his. It's his autobiography, and I think it's read by him because I think that's why I bought it. I still need to listen to that. But that's something I really, really want to get into. I love biographies, but I especially love autobiographies. Obviously, that's not always possible, but I'm a big fan. So it's on Audible. They have the Gene Wilder autobiography, and I think it's read by him, if I remember correctly. Can you suggest YouTuber videos
can we suggest YouTube videos for you to react to? You know what? I don't know how good of a reactor I would be. I watch a lot of reactors, right? Because I do enjoy that content quite a lot. But when I watch movies and things, I'm like dead silent while I'm watching. And it's usually because I'm paying close attention to what I'm watching. So I don't think I would be very good as a reactor because there would be nothing for you guys to see me react to. I would literally just be dead silent and then giving thoughts afterwards. So it's one of those things where I just kind of had to admit to myself that that is a skill that I do not possess. I think maybe I'm too introverted. I don't know. Do you like that 70s show? I didn't watch a lot of it, but what I saw I quite enjoyed. What are you yelling about, Brian? Oh, the problem is the generation of people who were dumbed down by lead in the air from gasoline are still writers. Okay, I see what you're saying. Can we suggest films for you to do videos? One you'll love and another you'll probably hate. You know what? I'm always open for suggestions. I might not actually get to it for various reasons. It doesn't have anything to do with whether it's a good topic or not. Sometimes I just get violently jerked in a direction, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a video about this. And then afterwards, I'm like, why the hell was this a topic I decided to talk about? Like Leo, like I said, I wanted to possibly do a video about Wish, and then me and my friend, because it's not on Disney Plus, they couldn't get a clean copy, and I wasn't about to subject them to watching the bootleg one. So we decided to watch Leo because we actually heard it was pretty good. So we were like, okay, we'll watch this movie. You know, there's a few things on Netflix which aren't like the best things ever, but they're perfectly fine movies. And then we watched it, and I had zero intention of making a video about that movie, but I just felt I needed compensation for the trauma I was put through. And then I made the video, and I was like, why did I make this video? Why did I do this? Seepif has that British composer. The best you'll get out of her is, yeah, pretty much. I'm not particularly loud or animated when I watch things. I'm dead silent. I'm like staring at the screen. And then after the fact, I'll like talk for 5 hours about it if I find it engaging. Either good or bad. It doesn't have to be great. Somebody mentioned that, I think I said this at the beginning of the stream actually, that Leo is an objectively better movie than Wish because Leo gives you more to talk about. I like sitting here in this cozy setting with just us folks. I'm glad. Yurok for doing a Tammy and the T-Rex reference. Tammy and the T-Rex. That's a movie that is objectively bad. It is a bad movie, but I kind of really like it just because it's insane. See, the thing is with bad movies, there's like different levels of appreciating terrible film. There's like the so bad it's good level, which I think most people understand. That's things like The Room or Get Even, basically anything that Red Letter Media covers. But then there's like a level of bad where the movie is terrible objectively, but there is something about it. Like there's something kitsch, there's something campy, whether intentional or not, where you can't help but have an enjoyable experience with it. And I think Tammy and the T-Rex is one of those. That's also kind of where I would grade Godzilla movies made in the 70s. Like, they're not good, but they're really campy and stupid, and you have a good time watching them. It's not because the movie is good, but they are, like, actively enjoyable. And then there's stuff like I really enjoy the live-action Sailor Moon show, which is like genuinely good. The Super Sentai Sailor Moon show is like genuinely excellent writing. The thing is though, it's a Super Sentai that was made in the early 2000s. So it has like some of the worst CG you've ever seen in your life, and it has the budget of maybe a box of tissues per episode, and it shows. So it's one of those things where it's not even that the bad budget is something you have to pretend isn't there. Like, that crappy quality is part of why it's fun to watch because it's like objectively well written writing. It's objectively good writing with objectively bad special effects, but the bad special effects don't need to be excused. They're part of the experience. I'm having the same thing with Kamen Rider Kuga. I'm having the same thing where the effects in that show, they're better than the Sailor Moon ones, but they're not good. But it's part of the charm. It's like why the show is enjoyable, apart from the fact that it's actually really well written, is the fact that the sets, it's like shot on like video camera quality. It's like consumer quality camera and stuff. It's not even like proper TV show cameras and things, but it's part of the charm. That's why you watch it. Special effects can be forgiven, bad writing cannot. Yeah, but it's not even like forgiven. It's like you were watching a tokusatsu show. The effects are terrible. When the effects are good, it's almost disappointing, right? I don't know if that makes sense. There are some Super Sentai shows or tokusatsu shows where the effects are really, really good, and they're not as fun as the ones that have like bad special effects. And it, like I said, good writing, excellent writing, really bad special effects, and that's like part of the charm. I've watched tokusatsu. Bad CG are really fun. That's the thing, and like it's fun to watch. I think also because it's like the early 2000s, there might be a little bit of nostalgia there, even though I'm not super nostalgic for the early 2000s. It's not an aesthetic I particularly enjoyed myself. But, you know, looking back, you can appreciate the charm to a certain degree. The thing about special effects and why modern effects have become sickening is that they need to fit the style of the work as a whole. I guess so. Because, like I said, the Sailor Moon Super Sentai, the effects are terrible. Like, genuinely awful. They're, like, shockingly bad. And the problem is, much like myself, I saw the transformation sequences before I watched the show, and the transformation sequences are so bad. They look awful. I saw somebody comment on the YouTube video saying, we have Sailor Moon at home. That's what it looks like. And it sucks because it makes people think that the Super Sentai version of Sailor Moon is crappy because it looks awful. And then you watch it and it turns out it probably has the best writing out of like all the Sailor Moon works. And I'm somebody who loves the anime. Like, the anime is my favorite part of Sailor Moon. And it's like, the live-action Super Sentai version has better writing. Like, it's just a better written story. Speaking of which, I got myself a copy of Sailor Moon Cosmos. I need to get subtitles for it, but I actually finally managed to grab that. So that is a video I need to do. I'm very upset because I saw in my anime list that it has like a 6.3 out of 10. And on my anime list, that's really bad. That's a terrible score. And it really upsets me because the final arc of the Sailor Moon manga, which this movie covers, is like my favorite in the entire manga because it's just Naoko Takeuchi like going off the rails and talking about like metaphysics and existentialism and the nature of good and evil living in constant flux with each other, and how the eradication of evil requires the static lack of life that the universe needs, because the only way for chaos and evil to exist means that life has to exist, because life always begets light and it begets darkness. Like, all of that is in the final arc of the manga. It's just this entire essay about existentialism and metaphysics. And I'm like, I don't think that an anime movie made by Studio Dean is gonna be able to translate that level of writing into a 3-hour anime movie. I don't see that happening. So I'm upset, but it's probably something I'm gonna watch, and I'll make a video about it, just because you know, I'm a giant Sailor Moon fan, and I've spoken about Sailor Moon quite often on the channel. I kind of started only talking about Sailor Moon at first, so I'll have to cover it, but it might just be me yelling at them not doing justice to my favorite part of the manga, because I don't think they're gonna include any of the, like, really juicy bits of the manga, because, again, Naoko Takeuchi, she knew it was her final chapter, so she just wrote whatever she wanted, because she knew this was the final story, so it was like, what are you gonna do, cancel me more? Oh, hey, Goofus. How late am I? How late are you? You are pretty much late, but I am just chatting. It is now 11:15. I can chat for about 10 or so minutes if you guys want, or if you get bored, we can call it earlier. I want to grab, I think I can drop it in Streamlabs. I want to grab one of my favorite quotes from the final arc of the Sailor Moon manga, because I want you guys to understand what happens in the final arc and why I believe it is absolutely not going to be included in the movie, because I don't have the faith in them including this. Here it is. So if I save this, let's see if I can get this to drop into Streamlabs so you guys can see it, because I want you guys to see it so you know I'm not making this up and this isn't my fan fiction that I'm reading out to you guys. Save it into desktop because it'll be easier to grab from there. Save to desktop, Streamlabs, go to desktop here, grab here, drop it here, and I'll just put it here, and then I'll transition. So this is from the final arc of the Sailor Moon manga. So this is Sailor Moon at the cauldron where all life and evil comes from, and the being within the cauldron says to her, "With your hand you have eliminated heavenly bodies of darkness, my fellow siblings born from this same sea, your radiance growing from their blood your radiance growing from their blood splatter. Your name has thundered across the Milky Way." I have zero faith that any of that is going to be in the anime movie. I don't see them putting it into a Sailor Moon movie. I don't have faith of them doing that. At the bottom. Hope you're doing well. Recently got back into some fandoms I dropped a year or two ago, and totally not re-obsessed. Definitely not. Yeah, don't worry, that's me as well. That's been me with Mass Effect for like this entire year. Although, to be honest, I'm never not obsessed with Mass Effect. I just have I'm like a sleeper agent, where Mass Effect becomes like it becomes background noise until something happens, and then it like activates my obsession with it again. And then, you know, here we are. And this is the other page. I'll show you guys this one as well. I'm not going to show you all of Sailor Moon because, first of all, I think it's I'm not allowed. Like, I think it's technically illegal, but it's fine. I'll show you guys. I showed you guys that part, which is my favorite line in the manga, and I'll show you guys this part, which kind of just explains what Sailor Moon is like in the final arc. Transform, fit to screen. Here we go. Transition. So here, she's still confronted with the being of chaos, and she's just found out that all evil and good comes from the same place in the galaxy, and she says, "Until now, all came from the same place. We were all born from the same place. We are all siblings. It was our destiny to come to this place. Where there is light, there is darkness. Darkness calls out to the light calls out to the darkness. Our destinies are as one. The time has come for the light and dark to once again unite and bring an end to all." So, again, that's what the final arc of Sailor Moon is. It's just a lot of that. And again, I don't think that's what I'm going to see in the movie, and I'm very upset. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Gunther. Missed most of the stream, so don't know if this has been a topic, but have you seen The Boy and the Heron? Or do you plan on watching it? Keep it up. I really want to watch The Boy and the Heron. I'm very excited. It's not released in my country yet. I don't think we're getting it. We might, but But even if we do, I don't have a movie theater in my town. Our movie theater is in the next town over, which would be fine, except it's summer, it's Christmas, and I live in a seaside town. So at the moment, there's the super chat, thank you. At the moment, the entirety of our town is gridlocked with extra traffic from the tourists that have showed up. So even if it comes out in our movie theaters, I can't go watch it at the moment. So I'm gonna have to wait until there's some kind of release. I don't know if it'll come to Netflix because all the Ghibli stuff is on my Netflix. But if not, I'll find it elsewhere. I am excited to watch it though. I'm very excited. I hear it's very good. Even if you're not, please look it up. It's delightfully insane. Which is this now? Oh, on the topic of low budget entertainment, is anyone else Canadian and old enough to remember PJ Casey's Farm? No, I'm not familiar with that one. I'm having Kingdom Hearts flashback. No, it's not that kind of darkness. It's not like darkness as this vague entity. It is they use the term darkness and chaos interchangeably. And basically what it is, it's chaos in terms of unpredictability. It's chaos in terms of people's capacity to do terrible things and things like that. And the argument that she's having with the being in the Galaxy Cauldron, which is where all life comes from, is you cannot have light if you do not have darkness, and vice versa. And the entire argument is Sailor Moon has to make a choice whether to destroy chaos once and for all. But the only way to do that is to eradicate possibility and basically put the galaxy and life in a stagnant state where nothing more can grow and nothing more can come. Everything will be stagnant because that is the only way to prevent chaos from being born anew into existence. Or whether she decides to allow the Galaxy Cauldron to spring forth new life and new possibility and continue the cycle of death and reincarnation, and in doing that accept that inevitably that strife and war and horrible things will be something, it'll be a reality. It will be not something you can avoid unless you bring the galaxy to a stagnant state. Like, that's the arguments that happening. It's not like Kingdom Hearts where it's like darkness. Like, no. It's specifically talking about morality. It's talking about morality. It's talking about metaphysics. It's talking about the nature of being alive. It's talking about the galaxy as organism, because there's a lot of talk about there as well as how all life is essentially made of the same stuff, and there is no difference between beings of good and beings of bad, because they use the word siblings in the manga, but that's basically what they're trying to get across. Like, again, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of discussion and arguments about that. And again, I don't expect the movie to cover any of that. I expect the movie to show us Sailor Cosmos in anime form, because that's going to be very cool, because I like Sailor Cosmos and she deserves to be in anime. It's going to be Seiya and Usagi doing a lot of will they, won't they romance. It'll be Sailor Kakyu doing her attacks, because she wasn't allowed to do that in the original anime. It's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be a lot of stuff that we didn't see in the original anime that we now get to see in the anime, and like all the metaphysical like debate on the nature of good and evil, there's probably not going to be a lot of that, which makes me sad. And they'll probably also do away with all the flesh melting, which makes me upset. We are going to have to remake Sailor Moon again and do the version where they keep all the flesh melting, because I'm very upset that they always like they defang the story. They like remove all the horrific violence and stuff, and it's like, do you want to do an adaptation of Sailor Moon or not? Right? Like, what are we doing here? Oh, it's like what Ryan Johnson did in The Last Jedi, but with less backlash. Good for the Sailor Moon writers for going there. Yeah, Naoko Takeuchi. Again, because this was the last arc in the manga, she knew that they weren't doing more for Sailor Moon afterwards, so she was basically doing whatever the hell she wanted. She kills off every single character. She kills off all the apart from Usagi, she kills off all the Sailor Senshi. She kills off Sailor Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto. They all die, and they die horrifically. And they don't even die at the end. They die periodically as the story goes along, because the entire point is to eradicate Usagi's support system, because the story wants to ask that if you remove everything a person has that she wants to fight for, if you remove a person's reasons for fighting, is there a reason for them to continue to fight against evil? Like, that's a conversation the story wants to have. So in order to do that, they just killed off everyone. So, flesh melting. Oh yeah, there's a lot of flesh melting in Sailor Moon. Let me see if I can grab one easily. Sailor Moon manga. I guess if I type Nightmare Fuel, it might come up. And there's like impalings. They're not going to do the impaling scene either. They absolutely don't have the guts to show that. I saw like, because I was like, are they going to show the scene where Kakyu gets impaled on a spear? And then they did put it in the movie, but it's like all in silhouette, so you can't actually see what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course. I get upset because it's like I said, do you want to do a Sailor Moon adaptation or not? Because either do it or don't. Oh, here we go. Here's one of them at least. Just wait for it to load, because my internet's very slow and I don't understand why. Why are you so small? Why? That's not the one I want. I don't want this flesh melting. I want the other flesh melting. Oh, well, here's the impalement. I can show you this at least. Oh, YouTube, this is all in Minecraft. All these horrible things I'm talking about, it's all in Minecraft. Please don't demonetize this video. This image is so small, it's so upsetting. I can show you, yeah, let me show you this in the meantime. So, this is the one scene. This is actually in the movie, but again, they did it all in silhouette because they're cowards. And like I said, you want to make a Sailor Moon story or not, because you either do it or you don't. So that's the one scene. And again, this one's in the movie, but it's all in silhouette. So that's lame. Oh, these are just very small. I don't know if I can show you these scenes, because they are so small, so I don't know if you guys would even be able to tell what's going on. I mean, I can try. Oh, here's somebody, here's a really dumb YouTube thumbnail that uses it as an image. I can do that at least. Let me take Sailor Kakyu off the screen and I'll put this one here instead. I'll make it smaller so I don't jump scare you guys. Hold on. Shrink that down. There we go. Enjoy. It's a Sailor Moon fan server, we promise. We need an out-of-context compilation of Seapath ranting about flesh melting. Yeah, I wasn't joking. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so it's a lot of that. And of course, they didn't put any of that in the previous movie. They didn't even try and include that. And it's annoying, because it's like, dude, it doesn't even happen once. It, like, happens multiple times throughout the story. Does my form please you, Tuxedo Mask? Anyway, so, yes, I will do a video on Sailor Cosmos. I don't know if my current audience even really knows about Sailor Cosmos, but at least, again, I can, like, I can show even more people the flesh melting scenes. But I can talk about the fact that it really, like, defangs a lot of the interesting conversations that happens in the final arc. And it's Studio Dean. I don't hate Studio Dean, it's just they're not super high quality in terms of the anime they make, and it frustrates me because Sailor Moon brings in an annual income of $3 billion every year in merchandise sales. Sailor Moon is a massive moneymaker for Toei. So I get frustrated because I don't understand why you wouldn't invest in a high quality anime studio to do your movie adaptations for your like one of your biggest cash cows. It's Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. Those are your big cash cows, and you are treating both of them really badly. It's kind of like what Pokemon is doing with the Pokemon games, right? Where they make so much money, but then they like really put out terrible quality main content, and I don't understand why. It's like, surely that's what you want to put some money towards. What did Studio Dean typically produce? Studio Dean did the Junji Ito Nightmare Collection that's on Netflix, like the really bad one, the one that's like not good and nobody likes, and a lot of people were upset because they're like, Junji Ito deserves so much better than this. Not the Uzumaki, that's still coming. This is the Nightmare Theater one. It's just bad. Let me see what else they did, because it's just a lot of like ugh. The English Sailor Moon soundtrack is so underrated. Honestly, I agree. I don't like the dub for Sailor Moon. In fact, Sailor Moon is why when I was 13 I stopped watching dubs, was because the Sailor Moon dub was that bad. But the Sailor Moon English soundtrack is actually pretty good. Is it coming? The Junji Ito Uzumaki? There was a new trailer like 2 months ago, so I think it's still coming. Yeah, so Studio Dean did the Junji Ito Maniac. They did... what else is here? See, I don't know a lot of this. Oh, they did a lot of Hitalia. They did Hitalia World Stars Special. They did Hitalia World Stars. They did... what else is here? I don't know a lot of this stuff. Okay, these are still upcoming, so there's no point in me telling you about those. They did Kibu no Chikara Otona... what is this? Otona Precure. Power of Hope Precure Full Bloom. I didn't know they did a Precure. Anyway, they did... what's this? Sorceress, Stabber, Orphan, Doom of Dragon Sanctuary. Like, it's a lot of stuff like that. Sasaki to Miyano, but that's actually got quite a good rating, so I think that's one of their better projects. They did... what else is here? Bakumatsu, Bakumatsu Crisis, Yukai Ana, Tensai Ninyo, Ongaku Shoujo, Uzuki no Reitetsu, okay, the Junji Ito collection, Gurazeni, The Reflection, Chikoku Shoujo, but like the newer one, not the original. I don't know if they did the original or not. They did the Ao Oni animation. And what else? They did all the Ao Oni stuff. So, you know, take that if you want. And something called Super Lovers, which looks like a yaoi. More Hitalia stuff. More Hitalia stuff. Jewel Pet. Hybrid Child. Bakumatsu. Yeah, just like a lot of that. Like, very middle of the road kind of stuff. It's not like the worst things ever, but it's not like really inspiring stuff, if I can put it that way. But didn't you, what, you didn't like dub Sailor Moon? Hey, Sailor ladies, going my way? Dude, do not make me play my Sailor dub video files that I have within arm's reach, which I always inflict on the stream whenever we talk about the Sailor Moon dub, because I will play it. Unless I deleted it, in which case you're all saved. I might have deleted it to like save space. Okay, I think I did delete it. Okay, you guys have been spared the Sailor Moon clips of her just screaming. I mean, I can find it. Hold on. If I go, where is it? Go into Sailor Moon Says. Sailor Moon. It's... Oh, but see, these aren't like... I don't think I'll be able to show you these because they're like all unedited and stuff. Oh, but you guys are probably familiar with the his tuxedo mask. I don't believe it. I'm sure you guys must have heard this because this is like the really popular one. How am I going? Okay, hold on. I know what I'm gonna do. Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop streaming at some point because I'm getting tired and I'm lapsing into silence. So I'm going to screen capture device, display capture. Here we go. Display capture. Add source. Display capture. Done. Okay, so just excuse me. You're just gonna see my studio for a second, and then it's this one.
Tuxedo Mask? Give me a break. He's not even here, soy sight.
Yes, I am.
No way.
I am Tuxedo Mask.
You are? He is Tuxedo Mask. I don't believe it.
It's so good. So yes, it's a lot of that. Close. Transition. There we go. This is my childhood. Yeah, there's like a worse one, but I don't have it on hand, where it's her and Chibiusa is falling down a cliff, and it's just like a solid minute of them screaming, but it's like very bad anime dub screaming, so it's a lot of like, ah, for like a minute and a half. Usagi has 4 voices in that scene. It's amazing. Absolutely incredible. I legit rooted for Tuxedo Mask. I was like in 3 to 4th grade. Seabuff, do you dare make me start wheezing like an old man on life support with these clips? Like I said, just be happy that I actually cleared up my hard drive because it was screaming at me because it didn't have space anymore. Because like the really terrible ones that I had on my desktop have been deleted. I think probably so that I couldn't show you again. Like past me was like, dude, you can't keep inflicting those clips onto people. Everybody is gonna click off the stream and never come back. They're so terrible. But I'm gonna call it, I think, because it's almost midnight. I'm very tired. If you weren't here for the start of the stream, the highlights of my day so far is I opened the passenger side of my mom's car to go into town, only to grab a giant huntsman spider. So that's how my day started. I bought a mattress, and I bought a mattress that's too big for my bed frame, so I'm currently on the floor. I went to a thrift store, and I told my mom, oh, they've got Agatha Christie novels, but there's quite a lot of them, so I don't know how many I should get. And I was holding 8 of them in my hand. So my mom was like, oh, you should get all of them because you really like Agatha Christie and you have a hard time finding them. And I said, oh, do you think I should get all of them because there's quite a lot? And she said, no, absolutely, get all of them. Because she thought by all of them, it was the 8 in my hand. It was not. So I came home with 47 novels because they were $1.30 each. Hold on, I can show you guys that as well. So I'm not lying. So my day has consisted of grabbing spiders, mattresses where I'm sleeping on the floor because I ordered the wrong size and it's too big for my bed, and coming home with an insane amount of books due to a miscommunication between me and my mom. Come on.
Are you gonna open this image or not? I'm gonna show you guys the books I bought and then I'm gonna go to bed because yeah, my mom, she didn't think I meant 47 books, because the thing is they were like 25 rand each, which is $1.30, and that's why I ended up buying 47 books, is because they were like less than $2 each. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll get every single one. Save images. Yeah, desktop is fine. Streamlabs. Here. I think something else happened that was more comedy of errors, but it kind of gets jumbled together between spiders and an insane amount of books. Transform, fit to screen. So yeah, that's what I got. Like I said, by accident, I guess, because when my mom said, sure, get all of them, she meant 8. She didn't mean whatever this disaster was. OBS is better than Streamlabs? Yeah, it's just Streamlabs gives me the cool little widgets when people donate or send super chats, and I like the widgets. I like the things that pop up and make noise. So accident. Well, so I bought these by accident. I think you're trying to deceive us into thinking, look at all these books I read. No, legit. I don't know where I'm gonna put these. I don't have room. I have to get my guy to come in and build like a cabinet against my wall because I've got nowhere to put them. That's part of the problem. Do I see Poirot? Yeah, it's all Agatha Christie. So it's Poirot, it's Miss Marple. I really like Miss Marple. I haven't read a lot of Poirot. And then a few of her like short stories and early novels. So yes, this is what I bought. And it was unintentional, but now I've got them. So with that, I think I'm going to say goodnight and drink something for my throat. And, oh, that was the other thing. So I literally came home after buying 47 novels. I think there's 47. I'll have to count again. It might be a different novel. I'm just saying, number. I'm just saying 47 because that's the number I have in my head. It might be different. Feel free to count because that's all of them. So I haven't sat still since my spider adventure. So I am going to say goodnight. Where's my end screen? Here we go. I still don't have a Christmas one, but that's fine. It's fine. And I am now officially on holiday until January. And in January, I'll work on the next part of Superman. And I'll watch Sailor Moon and see if I can make a shorter video on it. And by shorter, I probably still mean an hour because I don't know how to shut up. But I'll see what my time is like, and I'll try and get content out to you guys as fast as I can. I only start working on a new animation project in February. The studio already locked me down for a shorter project in February, so that's when I start working on studio work again, so I should have a little bit more time in January to do videos. I saw somebody, Mass Effect stream when, you know what, I've got power at the moment. We don't know after Christmas, but once Christmas is over, I really want to do another Mass Effect stream, especially because I've had electricity lately and it's been absolutely fantastic. And I've been playing Mass Effect 3 again, and I'm getting ready to, like, I've already cried like multiple times, so I'm getting ready to cry some more, so that's, you know, a lot of fun for me. But we'll do a Mass Effect stream. I say next week. I'll have to see because again it's Christmas, right? So we're all over the place at the moment, but I really want to do one soon because I've been dying to do one. And my throat is officially dying, so I think that's going to be it. Let me put a stop to the Christmas music. Let me turn up the volume, and I will leave you guys with some tunes. Hopefully nothing gets copyright claimed. And I'll see you guys in January if the Patreon tier is held, but it should be. I think it's relatively secure at the moment in terms of hitting the live stream tier. If not, I'll let you guys know, And I shall see you all next time. Bye, guys.
I wake up on Christmas morning, see the snow is falling down. Another dream about you, baby, that you